Is it hard to understand? The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. All right, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Rawchaa along with Elder Lawya. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to all my brothers and sisters worldwide, our brothers and sisters worldwide. We're the Gathering of Christ Church. Let's start it off with the Lord's Prayer.
In heaven. Give us this Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Abba Noah, Shabbat Shemayah, Kodash Haya Shankar Ahaya. Malawaka Baba'a, Ratazawanka Haya Aisha. Ba'arataza Kawa, Haya Bashamaya. The thunder Nawa, Lakam Kau Yawam. Wasalak Nawa, Kawawaf Nawa, Wasalak Nawa, Kawawaf Nawa, Wala'a, Kabayak Nawa, Anasaya one above. Awashai Nawa, Manrai Kayalaka, Kamalakwa Waha Allah, Wahatha Arak, La Iwalamya, Man. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Let me know when you got it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm Elder Rawchaa along with Elder Lawya. Shabbat Shalom to my brothers and sisters, to our brothers and sisters throughout the four corners of the earth. Okay, we're picking up from where we left off last week. The kingdom of heaven is within you. So I wanted to highlight this kingdom while we're in the midst of a serious assault against God's kingdom, who are the children of Israel, the water.
Yes, sir.
Okay. While Esau's kingdom falls, Israel rises. But how can a people that have been so decimated, destroyed, confused, come on one accord to circle the wagons in preparation for the outside assault to come? How? We're so fragmented. We're so confused as a people. Where to start, right? So if the kingdom of heaven is within us, we have to realize, what is this kingdom? Who is this kingdom? What was prophesied concerning them? And we have to highlight and pick up from, that's right, the enemy who has always attacked this kingdom. Last week we went into, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, principalities and powers, the workers of evil and darkness in high places, and begin to identify that this is the same war that have always attacked our forefathers since Adam. Today, what I hope to accomplish in the Spirit of the Most High on this Sabbath is to identify, especially in the midst of this engineered corporate pandemic, to identify the spirits that are behind it. Okay. And the fact that those spirits would be attacking Israel. That's number one. Number two, I wanted to go into the fact that number two, I wanted to actually highlight the fact that when it comes to Israel or Israelites, the people of the kingdom, how do we identify the chosen Israelites amongst the Israelites? Because you can't say, all right, the kingdom of heaven is all Israel in particular. That's not true. Mm-hmm. Especially in the midst of us in an earth where we have access to the internet, new people coming into the truth, witnessing some form of truth amongst everyone calling themselves Israel. So we have to also understand that Satan didn't he didn't just attack us or continually attack us from the outside. He attacks us from within, even being called an Israelite. So you have to understand the kingdom that Christ was talking about amongst Israelites. Also, we're going to end this with the works of our hands. What has the Most High gifted us with to make sure our family is provided for? And that responsibility falls on one individual, the individuals in their home. Keep in mind, your home is your kingdom. Your home is your kingdom. So how you operate within your four walls can do what? You can either tear down the kingdom or become an asset or a strength with everyone else's kingdom. It joins together a kingdom community that would help our people in these last days. Your kingdom, your household, attaches to another household, and now, that's right, a community of righteousness. Okay? And accountability to each leader of their home. That's what the 144,000 was all about when you read in the Bible. Not just what they did amongst themselves, but that mark being on their doorposts. That spirit of Christ protecting their home, so that now when we unite, we are in one spirit, one faith, one baptism, one doctrine. And guess what? Now, since there's no fighting amongst each other, we in one spirit with our God can now align ourselves against the enemy. That's right. So we're going to attack all those things. We're going to go into all that today. All right. Now, first and foremost, if you don't believe in Christ and don't believe that Christ was the prophet that was prophesied in the Old Testament, I'm going to say it right out. This isn't for you. Don't frustrate yourself in trying to have us being convinced of anything different, because it was through his spirit that has awakened us to understand what we're teaching before you. So sometimes people listen to these videos and say, well, yeah, you brothers are dropping all this and y'all dropping all that. Y'all got deep knowledge and all that, but I don't understand what's up with you. Y'all still dealing with this Christ thing. Understand, we wouldn't be able to utter anything before you if it wasn't for the Spirit of Christ resonating, communicating with us from the throne.
That's right.
Keep in mind, it's his spirit that has awakened God's people. So you can't give me no credit at all when it comes to all of that, folks. I'm just a vessel. There's a frequency from heaven that communicates with his people. And we know that high resonant spirit that actually is resonating throughout the universe is that same light from the beginning. That's right. His name is Yeshua, the Son of the Almighty, the first begotten of the Father. And no one can convince us otherwise. So guess what? Even if you inadvertently don't believe in him, but you trust and actually respect something, what's coming from us, understand what's coming from us is from him. Okay. So what you have to do is tap into that and understand and open your heart to receive the spirit of this word, which is the Bible, on the next level. That's your responsibility to figure that out. I believe the report.
That's right.
I believe the report of the Son that was prophesied before the world began, who would come and establish his kingdom in this realm to set up God's people. So no, we can't. None of us can talk about a kingdom without a king. That's first and foremost. He's our king who rules from the throne. That's right. He's in the holies of holies in heaven, the highest heaven, the temple of the Almighty in the heavenly realm. Okay. When Solomon built the temple, it was a similitude. That tabernacle was a similitude. What? That's right. A smaller illustration or depiction or construct of the heavenly temple. That whole Solomon temple thing was a construct, a small construct of what's in heaven. And it's our Savior, Yeshua, the Spirit of the Anointed, who's resonating through this earth to his church. So if you don't believe in Christ, you will never understand a kingdom, because there is no kingdom without a king.
That's right.
first and foremost. Second of all, we're going to give you some understanding, brothers and sisters, today. Some serious understanding to why we teach the way we teach. And also we're going to introduce a few things to you. Knowing that there's new brothers, new sisters who began to hear these lessons. And these lessons has begun to resonate with you. Well, how do we know? What do we have to do to get on board to begin this journey that will gather the kingdom and the elect into the kingdom as one? What is my personal journey? What do I got to know? What are the do's and don'ts? What do I got to know? Let me figure out a few things when it comes to the guys that are in front of me, as far as why they wear those things on their head. What laws do we have to follow? It's all over the place, all these Israelites. We don't know what's true. One Israelite is attacking another Israelite and saying, well, they're off. They shouldn't be doing this. They shouldn't be doing that. And that's only confusing those who are newly learned coming to this truth. So we're going to straighten out all those things, if it be the Most High's will, this Sabbath. All right? This Sabbath. First and foremost, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
And another thing. Let's go. He come in the volume of the book. Another thing. We follow the whole book. We believe in the whole book. The whole book is the word of the Most High. From Genesis to Revelation. If you have someone that's looking at half a book and saying the Old Testament, we only deal with that. Well, no, that's the Old Covenant. It even tell you the Old Testament is the Old Covenant. We broke the Old Covenant. Thereby, there was a necessity for a new agreement. Okay? So anybody that's dealing with the Old Testament, you need to write off altogether. Because Christ did his whole ministry within the Old Testament. If you don't know Christ, you don't even know the Old Testament. Mm-hmm. Okay? So anyone out there that's saying, well, I don't deal with Paul's writings, that person should be a student, not a teacher. I don't deal with the New Testament, or I deal with the New Testament, the Old Testament, but not Paul's writings. That person is unlearned. Automatically, one loses credibility if you're telling people that the Bible is the word of God, but then telling people to stay away from parts of it. Automatically, you lose instant credibility. You're teaching from a book, and then someone will say, well, what about what Paul said? And you be like, well, no, you ain't supposed to be reading Paul's writings. That'll confuse someone who's saying, well, okay, what you just showed me in the Bible is in the same book with Paul's writings. So understand, if people are not dealing with the New Testament and they're not dealing with the epistles and can resolve it all under one doctrine, right there, red flag. Red flag. So let's go into it now. We have enough people in here. Make sure you hit the like button as you come in to drive the traffic here. Let's read, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir. The book of Psalm chapter 40, verse number 7.
Yeah.
Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me.
I come in the what?
I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me. I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yea, thy law is within mine heart.
Thy law is within mine heart. He comes in the volume of the book. Let's go to Hebrews 8:8 for me real quick. The volume. So I'm putting this out there for you, brothers and sisters. When I go into, as we break down today, the kingdom is within you. You have to understand what to ward off, what spirits would attack you, what spirits are teaching false doctrine. Someone may be more learned in the Bible than you. How do you avoid Satan using a person like that against you? There's telltale signs, and we're going to break it down. Okay? Don't let somebody try to bully you or shame you because you don't know as much as they know biblical wise yet. As far as, the nuts and bolts, as far as the tenure of actually being in the Bible for a long period of time. They'll try to, look how long I've been learning. Look how long I've been teaching. Don't ever let someone try to shame you like that. Okay, why? Because why? There's a spirit of discernment also. You may not know all the scriptures, but you know when something isn't right when it comes to the Spirit of the Almighty. You don't need to know a lot of scriptures to know that even though you know the Bible, your spirit isn't right. You don't need to know a billion scriptures to know when something isn't right. So never let somebody try to shame you or try to say that go here, check this out. Like, nah, I can't receive anything from you because your spirit isn't correct. That's the spirit of the Pharisees and scribes. And we're going to hit that too. Ever learning, but never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. The truth is Christ. How can these guys had all this knowledge of the Torah, Moses, the Old Testament, and couldn't see the truth right in front of them? Talking about the Pharisees and the scribes. So there's a lot of that out there, folks, that you might think because they know about slave ships and all that, you might think they're the kingdom people. And these are the same people who've destroyed and killed the prophets. They wanted to shame Christ. They couldn't shame Christ. They became antagonists against him because he was a threat to their authority, to their haughty spirit, to their desire to rule when it wasn't time. See? So these are the people who are looking to make men their servants. And Christ wasn't going for it. So you have to recognize that spirit too. All Israel is not of Israel. Okay? We're going to touch on that today when we're breaking down the kingdom is within you. Stick with us. Let's read it.
Just one quick precept.
Come on.
What you just mentioned. Ecclesiasticus or Sirach in the Apocrypha, chapter 19, verse number 24.
Yeah.
He that hath small understanding and feareth God is better than one that hath much wisdom and transgresseth the law of the Most High.
Look at that. One that have small wisdom. Read that again, Elder Lord. That's nice. Read it.
Sirach 19:24.
Come on.
He that hath small understanding and feareth God.
You that don't know the Bible as much as others, but you fear God. You have a fear. You know he exists. You seek to please him daily, even though you don't know the Bible like that. Read.
Is better than one that hath much wisdom and transgresseth the law of the Most High.
Is better than them that have much wisdom, may know the precepts and all that, but yet transgressive the law. And we know the law. Who embodies the law? Christ.
That's right.
If they're not in the spirit of Christ, and you can recognize that it's an evil spirit, even though they deal with precepts and all that, guess what? They are of the devil. Okay? Doesn't matter how many precepts and breakdowns I got the breakdown. No, you don't got the Christ is the breakdown.
That's right.
That's the breakdown. Then they're trying to shame you. Oh, man, you just following man. No. You're upset that I'm not following you, man. Don't let anyone try to shame you or try to make you feel less than because you're newly learned. This is how they gain authority over people to do what? To make servants of their own people. Now, let's go.
Yes, sir. Hebrews 8:8. For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel.
I will make a what?
A new covenant with the house of Israel.
A new agreement with the house of Israel. So why? The old agreement was broken. See? With the house of Israel. So the New Testament, Christ's testament, is that new agreement. That I will make a new covenant. Covenant means agreement, contract. So because we broke the Old Testament, went into captivity, there was a need for Christ to come so that we could have another opportunity, another contract that would give us what? The promises of Abraham. And I'll be going into, that's right, the promises of Abraham tomorrow. Breaking down the whole deal. How did the Nephilim get from the one side of the flood to this side of the flood? And what happened at Abraham's birth? We have the whole thing. The landmass that the Zionists are fighting over right now. Guess what? Why are they fighting for the Middle East in that land? Because whoever has that land rules the world. But that land belongs to us, folks. So that new agreement was made so that we could one day get back that territory. And it's not going to happen through blood sport and war on earth. It's not going to happen by someone tricking the Saudis and tricking the other nations and going in and circumventing other countries to actually take them down, the Palestinians and all that. It's not going to happen like that. They're just, you know what they're doing in the Middle East? They're clearing the deck for us. That's what they're doing. There's a new agreement, but we are the people of the agreement. And they're not teaching this in the Christian church on purpose. Read.
For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah.
Israel represents who? You got it. The northern kingdom that was scattered in 721 BC. I'm going to be going into that, breaking down the 10 tribes in the academy. The northern kingdom, why they don't look exactly like us, because they were scattered almost 1,000 years before we lost Jerusalem. They were already mixed and mingled amongst the nations. This is why the 10 tribes doesn't exactly look like us. So when you look behind and see our banners in the back, people be like, well, they look like white people. They look like this. They look like that. You have to realize these people that are making these statements they don't understand the history of the split of Israel. That 10 tribes was taken out almost 800 years before Christ came to this earth, was born in the earth. So they don't look exactly like us. They mingle themselves amongst the other nations. But their bloodline links back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Israel are the 10 tribes, and Judah represents Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, Judea, the darker tribes who stayed intact, more so, up until the time that the Roman Empire, Esau, Vespasian, and Titus destroyed our homeland in 70 AD. That's why the darker skinned hue Israelites, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, still look alike. Okay? If you disperse a people and mix them amongst the nations for almost 800-900 years, and we didn't see them until thousands of years later here in America, and expect them to look exactly like us. So that's why, that's why I wanted to break that down also. He's going to make that agreement with Judah and Israel. That's bringing the 12 tribes back together. Okay. Read.
Verse 9. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant.
Okay, let me straighten one other thing out too, since I'm here. And I'm going to be touching on this more so historical. This is the biblical teachings. History we deal with in the academy. I keep on, I apologize if people talking about the academy, but that's where we do history at. There's this misnomer out there, and I think it's through sheer ignorance, that because they found black statues and all that over here in America, that the indigenous people of America were from Africa. That's a lie. That's a lie. Okay? That's a lie. The reason why you see black statues and all that over here in the Americas is because in 721 BC, the 10 tribes, some of the 10 tribes came over here to the Americas. In 721 BC, after being destroyed, after we were destroyed by the Assyrians, in 721 BC, some of us broke off and came over the waters and came to the Americas. And these people weren't mixed with the other tribes that stayed in the old world. They were still Negroid like us. So when Esau came to the Americas, that's right, he saw Negroid type features. He saw Negro. These are the Negroid North American Indians, the original Aztecs and Incas and all that were black, because they were from Israel. They were from Israel and weren't mingled amongst the other nations until the conquistadors, Esau, came over and began to mix amongst the dark races here. So don't go into that, yeah, they're from Africa. We found big noses and bushes and all that. No, they were in Jerusalem. They were in Israel. They were parts of Israel. Okay? We are the Africans that was brought over into America in cargo slave ships. But they weren't from Africa. They were from Israel. Okay, let me just put that out there right now. Finish reading that part, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 9. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant.
Because we continued not in the covenant given to Moses, speaking of the children of Israel.
And I regarded them not, saith the Lord.
And the Most High regarded us not. We rejected him and began to follow less gods. And you know what? Our God, Ahiah, the God of the Hebrews, casted us off. See? And guess what, folks? We're reading New Testament here. This is New Testament. You would have believed that Christian churches would be teaching this. Who are those people who rejected the old covenant and began to follow the ways of the heathen? Who are these people? Now, you can't say outright, well, these are Jewish people. No, they couldn't be Jewish people, because when you look at Jewish theology and Jewish teachings, they deal with the Kabbalah, they deal with Jewish mysticism, and they deal with the Babylonian gods of ancient Babylon. So it can't be them, because we were punished for actually dealing with the ideology they are dealing with today. So how are they in power if they're still worshiping and acknowledging the Babylonian gods? Why aren't they being punished? Because they're not the people according to bloodline. They're the people according to conversion. And we don't deny that they converted into our ideology. I can give you the history of when they converted. Okay? During Hyrcanus. The time of Hyrcanus. So I can give you the history of when they converted. So I'm not saying that they didn't have the right to convert. We converted them. But the reason why they're not being punished for what they're doing, worshiping the Babylonian gods, because what? The accountability of keeping God's law was on us. It wasn't on them. It wasn't on them. Okay? Let me make it clear. And this is why I don't have no problem with no races of people, because I know that they wouldn't be in position if it wasn't for our disobedience against the Almighty. So it's about time we come back as the Most High's people and get what's rightfully ours. Not from them, but from the Most High. Not from them, folks. Keep in mind, what they got is because of the God they worship, who's the ruler of this world. Our disobedience did what? That's right. It relegated power to them. I don't have no problem with that. This is their time. And they're going to do everything they can to rule as long as they can. I have no problem with their initiative. That's on them. We're here to warn our people concerning their initiatives and bring our people back under the original covenant, which would do what? Give us protection from the throne. See? Read on.
Verse 10. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord.
Come on.
I will put my laws into their mind.
I will put my laws into their mind. So when Christians are talking about the laws are done away with, what are you talking about? He's going to put it in our heart, in our minds, to follow the law our forefathers has broken in the Old Testament. Now, how would he do this? Through Christ. Through Christ and the Holy Spirit, it will be more so in our conscience so that we can remember, hey, we're making the same mistakes as our forefathers. Let's not do this. Let's not choose wrong. Look what happened. We went into slavery. The other nations ruled over us because of sin. It will be in our minds not to make the mistakes of our forefathers anymore. The real purpose of the New Testament, the real purpose of the epistles is what we're breaking down when it comes to kingdom, people. It's in our hearts now, and it pricks our conscience that we're making the same mistakes our forefathers made and expect a different outcome. We should know better. We have enough evidence. There's enough evidence and enough tape out there, enough history to know that how we did it in the past doesn't work anymore. Right? So now the Most High says, listen, I'm going to put it in your heart. I'm going to have someone walk in the spirit of the Almighty on earth as an example of what to be. Now there's no excuse. I sent my son. The same spirit that created everything we see in the earth today, I'm sending him in the earth as the physical example so that it will be in your hearts, in your minds. How that sacrifice can help us overcome vanity. Okay? On a whole nother level, I'm going to put it in your heart. And you will teach this to your children. This is why you went into captivity. This is why the other nations are ruling over you. It's not because they're better than you. It's not because they're better. It's because you continually disobey me. See? Come on.
Verse number 10. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel.
Come on.
After those days, saith the Lord.
Yeah.
I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be a God to them.
I will be a God to them.
And they shall be a people to me.
And they shall be a people to me. This is that special people now. On the Sabbath, we all acknowledge and praise the Most High and read out of the law. All together. No more Sunday worship, no more pagan Arabic Christianity, which is Islam. No more none of that. No more Buddhist teaching. We acknowledge the Sabbath all together. The Most High gave us the Sabbath as a sign between him and us. Let's read that real quick, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
That Sabbath is a sign between our God and, that's right, and us. That's a sign. We will have no respect for any Islamic ceremony or holy day. We will have no respect for it. It has nothing to do with us. It empowers Arabs over us. We will not acknowledge the Babylonian Sunday worship of Nimrod. It's satanic. It has always been satanic, and And it's a straight disrespect to the God who made everything in 6 days and rested on the seventh day. You got it? I can grab it. I can grab it if you want it. Okay.
One in Exodus as well as Ezekiel.
Yeah, but I'm going to get the one in Ezekiel.
The one in Ezekiel.
In particular.
Okay.
All right. Let's get it real quick. 1 second here. Get Exodus first. I need you to get Ezekiel 46 and 12. Get that first. Right? Hold Ezekiel. Hold that. Right? Let's get that first. Right? You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it.
Ezekiel 46.
Ezekiel 46. You have it?
Yes, sir.
And I need you to, there's two. Get Isaiah 58. Let's start at Ezekiel 46 and 12. Let's read it.
Ezekiel 46 verse 12. Now when the prince shall prepare a voluntary burnt offering of peace offerings, voluntary unto the Lord, one shall then open him the gate that looketh toward the east, and he shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings as he did on the Sabbath day.
As he did on the what?
On the Sabbath day.
On the Sabbath day, read.
Then shall he go forth, and after his going forth, one shall shut the gate.
And after he shall go forth, one shall shut the gate. Hold that and get Jeremiah 17 and 24.
Jeremiah 17, verse number 24.
Read it.
And it came to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith the Lord,
Come on.
to bring no burden through the gates of the city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day.
But do what?
But hallow the Sabbath day.
Because the Gentiles were looking to bring in things to buy and to sell and to distract us from connecting with the Almighty. Read.
Verse 25. Then shall there enter into the gates of the city kings and princes sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, they and their princes, the men of Judah, in the city, or in the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the city shall remain there forever.
And the city shall remain there forever. Folks, you can find this all through the Old Testament. It's one thing, get Exodus 20 and 8. Let's read that. Exodus 20 and 8.
Exodus chapter 20, verse number 8.
Read it.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Remember what?
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now, why would our God give this to Moses and state it and frame it that way? Unless the children of Israel would one day forget. See, you don't got to remember, thou shalt not commit adultery. Someone deal with someone you're dealing with, that's a violation. You don't even got to remember that. Thou shalt not steal. You don't have to remember that, because you know how it feels. You know how violated one becomes or feels when someone steals something from them. You don't got to remember that. You know not to steal. Out of all the laws, the Most High framed this particular law, one of the most important laws, this way. Remember. Which implies that what? We would forget. We would start going to church on Sunday and have the pagans lie to us and say, well, yeah, Jesus rose on Sunday. He didn't rise on Sunday. That is a lie. That was trick. That was deception. That was guile. Christ did not rise on Sunday. When you look at that first day of the week, when it says he rose, it's that first day, it says between Sabbaths. when you look at it in the Greek. First interval between Sabbaths. See that? Christ rose like on a Tuesday or Wednesday, in between that time. Okay, and the reason why people are not trying to make Tuesday or Wednesday a holy day, because they know that that's utterly ridiculous. It doesn't fall in line with the ancient Babylonian first day worshipings of the sun. The S-U-N, not the S-O-N. So they trick you into a Babylonian holy day. We forgot. So first of all, if you're going to deal with the kingdom, you have to understand that the kingdom has a holy day. The kingdom people has a holy day. Just like Arabs have a holy day. From Friday sun up to Friday sundown. Now, where they get that ridiculousness, I have no idea. I could care less. It has nothing to do with our holy day. Okay? Islam is one of the more new religions on earth, and they mumble and jumble all types of different ancient practices into their new ideology. They got a little bit of Judaism, a little bit of Christianity, a little bit of Babylonian mysticism, all of that mixed and jumbled into one religion. So why they do that, I could care less. Okay? Our God didn't tell us not to remember that day. That's not the Sabbath day. The Sabbath day, according to the Bible, is Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. And you have people out there saying that, no, it means when the sun come up on Saturday. That's a half a day. That's not a 24-hour cycle. So that's off too. It's not a sunrise. Mm-hmm. So we're making it clear to put everybody on code. I don't care how convincing they might be. If someone was to go into the scriptures to show you sunrise, 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 and you don't know the Bible, and that's all they're showing you, they're going to be like, yeah, man, why people ain't teaching that? Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't make any sense. It's nonsense. The evening in the morning was the first day, according to the Bible, which means what? A day begins when the sun go down, because all of this was made out of darkness first. So when the sun goes down, that's right, it's going into a new day. Because darkness was first, then light. Got it? So I'm really helping out the newer people who may be coming through and need to know how to begin to transition into this walk without the confusions that are out there. Read.
Ezekiel chapter 20, verse number 12.
Come on.
Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them.
A what?
A sign between me and them.
He did what?
Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths.
I gave my people, the kingdom people, the different people, my Sabbaths.
To be a sign between me and them.
To be a sign between me in heaven, that's the Most High, and them. That's a sign to the whole earth that these are my chosen people. Chinese people aren't going to be doing this. Esau and the Edomites in their Roman Empire aren't going to uphold this. Arabs who envy Israel is not going to do this. The sign between the throne and my people is when all of them are on code with the Sabbath. There's no such thing as a lunar Sabbath. There's no such thing as a half-day Sabbath. And it's deep because it's only comes when it comes to our holy day, people have different interpretations of how to actually deal with it. Only when it comes to our Sabbath days, people begin to ask questions. Oh, well, how do we know that the calendars aren't mixed up and any day can be a Sabbath? How do we know that Sunday isn't a Sabbath? Only when it comes to the Sabbath, where we come with all these different ideologies and arguments and theories. But the Christian church, they can have Sunday as their holy day every Sunday unquestioned. Why is that? No one asked, well, how do you know that that's the holy day? How do you know that that really wasn't a Monday back in the day?
Right.
When it comes to the Arabs, every Friday sun up to sundown, they're all on code together, and no one is questioning the calendars and nothing about that. You notice that? But when it comes to Sabbaths, folks, now everyone coming up with their new idea of what a Sabbath is. Oh, it's when the sun come up on Saturday. Just to confuse the masses. These are people who claim to be Israelites. Or, no, the lunar Sabbath. We have to look at the moon, the slither of the moon, and count that, and it falls on Wednesday this day and Thursday this day. Or you have people that's following the Jewish Sabbaths, which is off. Why? Because when it comes to the moon comes in 10 days early each year. A lunar cycle, for an annual lunar cycle, is 354 days. And it breaks it down in Enoch and all the ancient records before the flood, that the Most High, he even told Moses in the book of Jubilees, that make sure you tell my people that an annual year is 364 days. It's 52 Sabbaths. And if they begin to go off and follow the moon only, they're going into captivity. They'll be following the Gentile holy days. And now they're defiling the days unconnected with the heavens when the angels deal with these days in heaven. See? Eventually these people are going to captivity because they're not connected with the throne. 364-day cycle, 52 Sabbaths is a calendar year, not just with the moon only. The moon follows the sun through portals. You can't keep time with one hand on a watch. Okay? It takes two hands. And in the heavens, the two hands that keep time is the sun and the moon together. 364-day cycle. Therefore, every holy day is on a fixed time each year. The Passover comes in on a Sabbath every year on time. Same day. It doesn't switch. Friday this year, Thursday next year, a Wednesday or a Monday the year after. That's confusion. Read that again, Elder Lawya. And again, you can go to Gathering of Christ Church, gatheringofchrist.org, and get your calendar, because we the Most High already gave us the information to give you the research to get on time. Let's go.
Ezekiel chapter 20, verse number 12. Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am the Lord that sanctify them.
That I am the Lord that sanctify them. Now,
one more precept on that.
All right, let's go.
Isaiah chapter 66, verse 22. You were mentioning earlier those who claim that the Sabbath was done away with in Christ, and now that it is a Sunday opposed to a Sabbath. Let's see what the Sabbath, or what will be celebrated by true believers in the kingdom. It says here in the book of Isaiah chapter 66, verse 22, for as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh.
Showing you even in the kingdom of heaven, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
That we'll be celebrating the Sabbath. Now, for those who are fairly new and they see the word moon there, you might get confused, because you may begin to think it's talking about the moon in the sky. And it isn't. It's talking about the months for changes of seasons. These were the new moons, or the new months. Okay? You would have what? 1 month. the beginning of a season, spring. Count 30 days. And then on the 31st day, what happens? A new month. And then a new month. 30, 30. And then what happens on the next 30? That's right, 3 months. And then there's another new month. That becomes from spring to summer. You get 30, 30, another 30. And then down here, you're going to have a new month. That will become autumn or fall. The Bible calls it new moon. But when you look in the Hebrew, it's month, not the moon in the sky. And this is where people are going off, not being able to break down a 364-day calendar. They think it's speaking of the moon in the sky. And it only means a month, which separates seasons. Then you count 30, 30, 30 from autumn, and you'll get what? Winter. 30, 30, 30, spring. See? It's that simple. It was new month, dividing the year in seasons. See how simple that is? When you understand the Sabbaths. So it not only breaks down weekly Sabbaths, it breaks down Sabbaths of seasons so that we would know as a people, that's right, when to plant, when to harvest, when to bring food into storage for the winter, and to complete that cycle of life from one year to the next. It was all implemented within understanding the Sabbaths. Got it? Come on, let's go.
Yes, sir. Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 12 again.
You read it?
Yes, sir. Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am the Lord that sanctify them.
That I might know that I am, Ahia is the Lord who's cleansed or sanctify my people. This separates my people from everyone else. So, folks, it's no surprise that every Gentile ideology is pushed in our communities when it comes to missionary work and all that. Everything. Seventh-day Adventists. Church of Latter-day Saints with that comic book called the Book of Mormons. Jehovah's Witnesses, Baptists, Muslim, New Age. All of these things are pushing our community. But there's one religion in particular that has no missionary in our communities. You notice that? And that's Jewish people coming into our community saying, follow the Sabbath. Mm-hmm. If they're going to send in their people, they'll be Messianic Jews. And that's a deception. That's deceptive. Because no, if you're going to come into our communities and be acknowledged as Jews, then I need you to bring in the information on our Sabbaths. We don't want you to bring in some other thing that would acknowledge you as the bearers of Christianity. Why don't you come in with the Torah and tell the whole community together, stop the Christian church and let's start with Sabbaths. They'll send all these others into our community, the Latter-day Saints, this, that, and the other. Charles Taze Russell, Jehovah's Witnesses, Islam, Chinese Buddhist temples, Babylonian East Indian temples. All these people just tearing us apart with all these different days of worship. But yet, the synagogues is right around the corners, not too far from us. And they don't proselytize and come in our communities and say, no, what we're doing is right. And we know what we're doing is right. Put that down and do the Sabbath. You know why they don't say that? Because by default, if the Torah says that the Sabbath is a sign between him and his people, by default, they become the chosen people. They're the sign that everyone else must do what? Acquiesce under. They become the authority because they can say amongst themselves, well, listen, we're the only people that are really following it. Mm-hmm. So by default, we must be the chosen people because in the Torah, it's the sign. So they'll show it to their children and say, look what black people are following. The sign that we're the people is our Sabbath. We're not forcing them. They can actually follow God, but they choose to be heathen. They're scattered all over the place. They can't be the people. And their children are learning that in their synagogues. Their children are learning that the sign is, it doesn't matter what my ideology or belief is, you're going to find me in the synagogue networking with my people on the Sabbath. It's tradition. See, you even have atheists amongst them, but they'll still go to the synagogue to do business and deal with their traditions. So you have all this proselytizing in our neighborhoods, but there's one missing, and it's on purpose. Because when you get on code with this Sabbath, even though you don't know all the holy days yet, that Sabbath is connecting you with the throne, and they know it, and they fear what the Most High will tell you at this time. You've hollowed between him and you. That's what they fear. All right. The kingdom is within us. So I had to lay the groundwork there. It took me a little minute, but now we're going to just drudge through now. We tread through now. First of all, when you come and see us, right? Gathering of Christ Church. Sometimes you see Elder Lawya and I with Mitris. And sometimes you see us just regular old, just before the camera and all that. When at one time, when we first started teaching, you didn't see us without Mitris, usually. Why? What is these things on our head? What are these? Why are we looking so different? I'm going to show you how I would say destroyed our people has become. Unless we fit a lower depiction of ourselves, it must be crazy, off, or cultish. Like, I'm not supposed to have this on my head because I'm not an Arab. I'm not a sheik. I'm not a prince of Arabia. So if I put this on my head, something must be strange with me. But if you see me with a kufi on my head in the neighborhoods, then there's no pushback. Okay, we realize what that is. You're Muslim. All right? If you see me with a fitted cap on my head, I fit in. I know what that is. That's your team. But when we put on something royal and regal that the Bible tells us to put on, it is off. It's crazy. What's that thing on your head? And our own people try to shame us. What's that on their head? You know why? Because if I was an Arab here or imam here, guess what? I would be honored, which is a straight disrespect to the chosen people of God. And something is going on with our people. I'm going to tell you this, because Arabs and other nations aren't going to allow you to disrespect their authority like that. But our people think it's okay. You don't realize how the other nations deem that or see that. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it isn't from the Most High. This is a sign to you. So what we have to do, especially you people who aren't used to this, we have to break it down and say, well, listen, you should have read the Bible and know that this is in the Bible. And there's a reason why, not like the Old Testament, not like the old time, that we don't have a beanie in between. As you can see, my head is open. The center of my head is open. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. So if you're fairly new, let me break down why you see the Gathered of Christ Church, right, wearing a mitre. Let's go to Zechariah 3, Elder Lawya, and let's start at the 3rd verse.
Yes, sir. Zechariah chapter 3, verse number 3.
Read.
Now Joshua was clothed with filthy garments and stood before the angel. And he answered and spake unto those that...
Now this Joshua symbolizes Israel. Read.
And he answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying, Take away the filthy garments from him.
Take away the filthy garments from my people.
And unto him he said, Behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee.
So what made our garments filthy? Sin. Transgressing the laws given to us through Moses. So through Christ, we do what? We acknowledge our sin and our filthy and our disobedience against the Most High, and we become baptized. And at that time in heaven, we're given what? A white garment that represents our acknowledgement of how filthy we were. Read.
And unto him he said, Behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with a change of raiment.
I will clothe thee now with a change of raiment. That's the white robes you read about in Revelation. After baptism, after acknowledging that we fell victim to the sins of our forefathers, and now in that agreement, we make a promise to our Father to undo the sin by walking in the path of his Son Christ. This is how you overcome the curse to become what? Kingdom people. Read.
Verse number 4.
Read.
Or the rest of verse 5.
Come on.
Behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with a change of raiment. Verse 5. And I said, Let them set a fair mitre upon his head.
Let him put a what?
A fair mitre upon his head.
After the men were clean, they put a what? A fair mitre upon his head. This is a fair mitre, according to the prophecies, which is also a sign to the Gentile nations and rulers that we're back. That we're back and we're no longer under their spiritual power. When we wear a kufi, we're outright announcing that we're servants to Arabs. Okay? So when we wear the things they've produced, their hats and all that other crap they, in certain instances, this is showing that we're servants to the Gentile powers. But when we put on this, there's no scholars anywhere that said to put on this. And through it, they recognize what? Our minds have been freed from their deceptions, from their bonds. Because there's no schools they have set up that could teach us what this is. See? So that's a sign to them, okay, we need to do something about these people before it's too late. The priest of the Almighty has awakened. The kings has awakened. See, that's a sign, even though you don't recognize it. But the powers that be know exactly what this is. See? Read.
And I said, Let them set a fair mitre upon his head. So they set a fair mitre upon his head, and clothed him with garments. And the angel of the Lord stood by. And the angel of the Lord protested unto Joshua, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, if thou wilt not walk in my ways.
If you will not walk in my ways.
And if thou wilt keep my or if thou wilt walk in my ways.
If you will walk in my ways now. If you will now do what's right undo the sins of your sinful forefathers. Read.
And if thou wilt keep my charge,
And if you keep my charge,
then thou shalt also judge my house, and shalt also keep my courts, and I will give thee places to walk among these that stand by. Now, hear now Joshua the high priest.
the what?
Joshua the high priest.
That's right. It's a priesthood. The Bible tells us in the book of Revelations, he would make us a nation of priests. That appointment happens upon Christ's arrival. So when he set up the 12 disciples, he was setting up a new priesthood under the orders of Melchizedek. Huh? So now that's not weird to you anymore. Aaron's sons had the Mitri. But since Levi fell, it tells us in the book of Revelations 5 and 10 that he will make us a nation of priests. And when Christ returns, guess what? He's setting up his priesthood. 12 disciples, fair Mitris. 144,000, fair Mitris. This is our crown. Okay? And it's a low-key sign to the Gentile nations that they have no more power over our minds. When they see this, they know this ain't no towel wrapped around our head like an Arab. They know that right now this signifies to them we're free of their deceptive ideologies and religion. So I have to put this out there because some Christians might be confused. They would say, well, you're not supposed to have anything on your head or a hat or covering your head or covering over your head if you're praying or prophesying. Yeah, that's why the crowns of our heads are open. See, just totally move the naysayers out of the way. Understand that Christ comes in the volume of the book and not just relegated to the understanding you understand him on. There's higher understandings. The Bible is manifold. So the reason why I had to highlight that, because why? Some people are put out, they're only trying to look for something that's wrong to put a stumbling block in front of you. That'll be a stumbling block, so I must explain it. Now, the reason why you see us sometimes with Mitris and sometimes without. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 9.
First Corinthians chapter 9, verse number 19.
Yeah.
For though I be free from all men,
which means we shouldn't really have to explain everything. Read.
Yet have I made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more.
But we make ourselves servants to all, that we might gain the more. The work should do all the explanations in itself. But the Bible tells us that, you know what? Everyone is not on the same level to understand certain things. And the way you look, what you put on, based on someone's education or upbringing or environment, might offend them. Because they don't have an understanding to what they see. They've never seen anything like this before. So the Bible tells us that we have to do what?
Verse 20. And unto the Jews, it says here, verse 19,
Read.
I have made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more.
That I might gain the more. Read on.
Verse 20. And unto the Jews I became as a Jew.
As a Jew, I became as a Jew. So there's Israelites who understand what fringes, borders of blue, mitris are. Okay? They understand that. So if I'm going to gain those who know the law, I have to put on the attire in respect of what they believe. See, Paul understood the law. He was born a Pharisee. So he knew that he couldn't come in to the temple to convert them or convince them of Christ wearing Gentile stuff. It would offend them. Right? So he had to work with them on the level they understood to bring them to Christ. See? So for those who know we're Israelites, they know what this is. And they know that, listen, we understand the law. But then you have other guys look at it and they would say, well, I want them to have a beard. No, listen, again, no man should be looking at another man's face or whatever and saying what they like, what they would like concerning how that man looks. Okay? And don't try to put what your view of what an Israelite is on what God says, on what the Bible says. Okay? Because the Bible don't give us a law that we must grow beards all together the same and all that. There's no law on that. Okay? So if you don't like the way I look, what you do is you black out the picture and listen to the words. Because the Most High is bringing forth the spirit of understanding. Don't let how I look be a stumbling block to you. Because wisdom doesn't come with someone just because they have a beard. You can have a beard hitting the floor and be a starch fool. So I'm putting it out there because some people like, well, because they grow and all that, and like, yeah, no, this is not what you would call a testosterone contest of who can look more manly. It has nothing to do with that. A man shouldn't be looking at another man saying, well, I sure would like him to have a beard. That's not cool. That's the wrong spirit. So you have to get the knowledge and understanding. Okay, when it comes to the outward appearance, get the knowledge and understanding of it. What about when there's vows and you have to cut off all your hair? Is that sin? The vow of the Nazarite. You do it for a certain amount of time and you cut your hair bald, you cut all the hair off your face. So what is that? So I'm putting this out there, brothers and sisters, because people would like make you believe that an Israelite is a certain outline.
Cookie cutter.
Yeah, cookie cutter that you can recognize as an Israelite. Folks, it's not how I grow my hair or whatever the case that make me an Israelite. The blood running through my veins is Israel. Okay? So the outwardly doesn't make you an Israelite. Let's make that clear. Let's get that real quick. Romans 2. Because if we're going to talk about the kingdom, brothers and sisters, you have to understand people are trying to shame you and all that. And I had this brother, I talked to brother the other day, and he's saying, boy, listen, man, what's up with my facial hairs? And I'm talking to the brother. I'm like, brother, all the understanding that I'm teaching right now, that's what you're concerned about? Brother, what are you looking at me like that for? Give me a scripture where I'm supposed to look how you want me to look. So we have to break these stereotypes. We have to break we have to break the mold of what they're claiming is an Israelite, folks. Because 9 times out of 10, it's actually shaming what Christ says is an Israelite. We have to break that mold because the mold they're putting out there is to deem people radical terrorists. Mm-hmm. And you have to break that mold because they've made a mold that's against kingdom people. Again, I don't have no problem with beards. But you don't know what my plans are. And why I decided I'm calculating things to how I look. But that's my business that I need not to share. Okay. When the time comes, yeah. I think I would have a nice dark salt and pepper type deal going on. But guess what? That's my business. I see it. Yeah. But it's going to be when I need it for what I need it for. Okay?
If I can mention one thing real quick. The issue when you create the cookie cutter image of what an Israelite's supposed to be, we usually say that if Christ was to come off the cross, many Christians would be vying to put him back on the cross. Well, by the same token, because Israelites have created this structure of what you must be as an Israelite, if Christ was to come off the throne or come off the cross, a lot of Israelites would be vying to put him back on the cross because he would not fit into this 21st century cookie cutter image of what an Israelite is supposed to be. Exactly.
And I mean, sometime throughout the years, I've seen some of the young guys who don't know any better. Oh, look at him. Yeah, he's baby faced. You know what? To me, it's funny. I mean, when I say it's funny, I laugh because, I really believe it's funny. I laugh at it. It makes me feel like, okay, like a Dave Chappelle skit or something. I don't feel upset. I'm not mad at him. I'm like, babyface. I laugh. I laugh with them. I'm not offended. I'm like, well, listen, doesn't matter. Keep looking. You're going to learn something. And it's okay. Keep looking. Okay, I might not be appealing to you. Because I don't know, maybe if I grew my beard, would that make the scriptures pop out and give more understanding? I don't know. But I'm not offended because of it. I'm just breaking it out, brothers and sisters, where someone would try to point out things. Strain at a gnat, but swallow a camel, like Christ said. Because they're looking for something wrong. And ignoring all the wealth of understanding that would actually produce something for their families when it comes to these services, these teachings. Let's go back to where you was, Elder Lawya, because there's more on that. To gain all men.
All things.
Yeah. Because to a Jew I became a Jew. Let's go down to the rest of it.
Verse 20, Romans 9:20, or 1 Corinthians 9:20.
Yeah.
And unto the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might gain the Jews.
Come on.
To them that are under the law, as under the law.
To them that are under the law, under the law.
That I might gain them that are under the law.
Read.
To them that are without law, as without law, being...
To those that were without law, without law. That means if these people seen us looking a certain type of way, strange in attire opposed to Jews who know what we're wearing, that could become a stumbling block to them. Read.
To them that are without law, as without law, being not without law to God.
Being not without law to God, you're not breaking the laws and the commandments.
But under the law to Christ.
But under the law of Christ. Knowing that being an Israelite and walking as an Israelite could offend and be a stumbling block to those who are without the law, who haven't come to this knowledge yet. If you say the word Israelite, automatically they'll relate you to something radical that they seen screaming at people, cursing people out. And now the gospel has become, you trying to bring the gospel to these people, and now they're relating to people they're relating you to people whose actions are against the gospel. See? So Paul understood that. Paul understood that. That means I can sit down with a Christian who have no idea that I'm an Israelite. And I can break down the manifold wisdoms of the Most High in Christ. And only for them to ask me, where did you get that understanding from? And I can say, we're the children of Israel. It was always ours. See? I put Christ first. My outward appearance when I deal with people isn't a stumbling block to them. Someone that may look like an Israelite has already turned them off from seeing the kingdom, which is our responsibility to show them the kingdom. I don't have to deal with my interactions as an Israelite first. All of my interactions must be Christ first. Or you'll become a stumbling block to those who are without. That's wisdom. It's how I interact and treat other people that leads them into being more inquisitive to how I came to this understanding. And that's when I drop the bomb on them. Where did you get this from? What school did you learn from? Where did you get this about the angels and the breakdown of how the angels are operating in darkness against us and all these things that Christians want to know on the next level? And I said, listen, the reason why is because we were the givers of the law. We broke it. And only the chosen people of the book can teach the true theology of it. That's it. And then I go into all the history and all these things and like, whoa, this is blowing my mind. And you know what they usually say after that? I knew we were more than what they were telling us. I knew, they'll say it just like that. I knew it. Mm-hmm. I knew we were greater than what they were saying. But if I was to look and act like those that were out there, it would have been a stumbling block, and the Spirit of the Almighty wouldn't have used us as a vessel to convert those who are on the outside. Finish reading what you got, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 22. To them that to the weak became I as weak.
To the weak I became what?
As weak.
As weak. That means, listen, you have to be able to condescend to a lower level. They may not have all the knowledge. They might not have even the regular worldly education that we have. But it doesn't matter, because Christ is going to use, he says, through the mouth of babes I will teach this people. We have to condescend to the lowest level of our people, understanding that that's where Christ will meet them and educate and grow them from there. Mm-hmm. See? Read.
To the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak.
Come on.
I am made all things to all men.
I'm made all things to all men.
That I might by all means save some.
That I might by some means save some. See? You become all things to all men to save the people. It's not what you would call selling out or compromising. It's being what that brother or sister needs to see Christ. Mm-hmm. So if what I put on is a stumbling block to my people, I'll take it off. As long as we're in this word, we can learn together, and then the understanding comes to why I put certain things on, according to that person's respect of the word. But we as teachers must what? We must get them there. We can't blame them for not being there. We have to get them there. See? That's what teachers, that's the gift of teaching. That's the gift of teaching. To know that sometimes who we are in the flesh can be a stumbling block to people who are without. And we're already behind the 8 ball, knowing that the majority of Israelites out there, even though there's truth in what they're saying, isn't the example Christ established. And being rough around the edges, being brutish, can actually stop up the kingdom to have people believe that, okay, I don't want to deal with this nature if this is what it means believing in the Bible. I don't want to deal with the people like this if this is what the Bible does. And all together they began to do what? Renounce the Bible. When the Bible doesn't teach people to be brutish, disrespectful. All right. Hold tight. We're coming back with part 2. Hold tight. We're going in. And at the end of this, I got a video. At the end of this, I have the video. More information on the Code 45 test. Okay? I'm at the end of the video. So hold tight. Part 2 coming up. Hold tight. The kingdom is within you. Part 2. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. All right. Hebrew and Bible Academy, that's right. We're going to be going into, that's right, the promises of Abraham, breaking down what happened when our father Abraham was born. Okay? And the promises that went from him to the children of Israel. We're going to also go into the New Testament to show you how the Christian doctrine, the exegesis, was to throw us off from the fact that the Most High came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That there's no such thing as he done away with his people to replace us with Gentiles, looking to steal the promises of our forefathers through Christian philosophy. We'll be going into that tomorrow. You can't say that the Most High did away with his people to get another people. Doesn't make any sense. How can he have grace for Gentiles and not his own chosen seed? That doesn't make any sense. All right, so we're going to be going into that. We're going to be going into that tomorrow. The promises of Abraham. I'm moving what really happened in slavery to week 5. Why? Because how can I go into slavery and we haven't even gone into the children of Israel yet, being scattered, going into captivity? So I need to go into the promises. Who's Edom? And yes, we even have an Edomite. We even have an Edomite, brothers and sisters. Right? He's of the, the Amalek bloodline, who came right on. He belongs to a synagogue who admits that they know that they're from the seed of Amalek. And the rituals and all that happens, an eyewitness personal testimony of them saying they're Edom, which will be highlighted week 4. And then we're going into what really happened in slavery. Folks, everything they told us about that time period is a lie. Everything. Tear up everything you've learned on slavery and all that. Just tear it up. It's all a lie. One other thing, and I'm just gonna just to give y'all just a little tidbit. A little tidbit, folks. We believe in our small educational system here in America that all white people enslaved us here in America. I got something for that too. A lot of white people were funneled into the country. That's right, to make cover for the corporations. They were just as poor and destitute. A lot of us here in America were in better case than them. And it's not to absolve or to excuse these white people, because their children began to grow into that same spirit to believe that they were privileged over us.
Allow themselves to be used.
Yeah, allow themselves to be used with that thought of having black people think that they were better simply because they were white, because they were the great slave masters, knowing that their forefathers weren't in control of nothing. Their immediate families wasn't in control of nothing here in America. A lot of these white people that came from other countries were cast-offs. Their country didn't want them. So I'm going to go into, man, we're going to cover it from every angle. Esau's angle. And, man, let me tell you, folks, the more I go into this history and research it, man, there's no other people like our people. There's no, and I'm not throwing shade on anyone else. I'm just saying, I don't know any other race of people who would have persevered through all this and still come out great, and not understanding where that greatness comes from, but still be great from one generation to the next, excel above everyone. Excel above everyone. With all nations working to suppress and to keep this kingdom down, we still excelled. What nation would have went through this and still excelled? They would have given up already, folks. Week 5. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to hold it there. Hebrew and Bible Academy, go to historytimes.org. Wait till you see the white papers, the research, and what, man, I wake up 3, 4 in the morning. I'm still putting everything together, pieces together on it. And I'm glad I'm not doing it in week 3, because the more I research it, the more comes out. Folks, check it out. The children of Israel. What made Africa great? The children of Israel made Africa great. We're going to go from Africa to America. 70 AD, they took us down. What made us great after running into Africa? How did we become such a force in Africa? The Most High. From Africa to America, what really happened in slavery? Man, we're the children of Israel, man, and I can see why the nations have inundated us with religion. It's crystal clear that they were looking to disconnect us from that great power that have persevered this bloodline from then until now. Now, historytimes.org. Now, since I'm talking about attire, the kingdom is within us, right? Elder Lawya, let's go to Romans 2 real quick. Romans 2. Since we're still on attire, hold up, on attire real quick. Hold on. Attire. Let's go to Deuteronomy 22 and 5. Since we're still on attire. And get modest apparel out of Timothy, right?
Yes, sir.
Apparel. We're going into apparel since we're talking about the outward appearance real quick, right? Let's go.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto the man.
So when we talk about being an Israelite, kingdom people, there's cut and dry laws when it comes to our outward appearance. Now that you understand why we wear mitris and fringes and borders of blue, because that's in the law, right? We must understand what not to wear. The fashion industry is controlled through Sodom and Gomorrah.
That's right.
And they're looking to promote this unisex, I don't know what's who and what's what type of environment so that the freaks can operate freely amongst us. But the clear defining line is when we follow the laws of God concerning how we look. A man, when he go outside, have to look like a man. A woman, when you go outside before the world, you showing forth who you are and the God you serve, you must look like a woman. And that's in everything. And I be seeing these veiled shots and all that. And guess what? More onus and responsibility goes on our women for this peace. To uphold righteousness concerning the outward appearance, because they take more time with their outward than men. So the onus and responsibility more so is on women to understand how they're going to be represented as children of God on earth. Because, man, I'm going to tell you, looking at TV, and this is on purpose, and I see it over and over again. Because we're not following these laws, what are they doing? It seems like every movie, every series out there, you have a sister. They cast a sister with a shaved head or low hair, or a bigger sister with low hair right next to a white woman with long, pretty hair. And I don't see nobody out there saying, well, hold up. This is calculating. When the Bible says a woman without a hair, it's a shame for a woman to be bald, according to the Bible. It's a shame. So why would they put that continuously right? They'll show a bald-headed woman exuding masculine power, I'm authority and all that, next to a dainty, feminine white woman. It's programming. When it says you're not supposed, man, read it again.
The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto the man, neither shall a woman put on a woman's, or neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. This is why they're going after the Bible, folks. Because the people that they now claim are minorities are doing this. And how are they able to disguise themselves amongst the people regularly? By promoting it to our people so that they can now do what? Use us as camouflage to exist amongst society. If we were to follow the law according to the outward appearance, there would be a clear distinction and a line between what's normal and freaks. See? See why they're against the Bible and the law? It's clear. A man, read that again. Here's the law again.
Deuteronomy 22 verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
Come on.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
And I'm going to say this real quick. When women be getting haircuts and trying to have on the short clothes, and usually it'd be some of the ones with girth and all that, be trying to have a man type of vibe. Here's the reality. You'll never know what it is to be a man. You are not a man. And if you understood how people are really viewing you, you would actually embrace your femininity. Even the person you run around with who's probably been abused or whatever the case is, and in the society you're gripping up and think that that's a girl or whatever the case is, your girlfriend, they're not even viewing you that way. They're going to operate until they get old enough to understand and grown enough to realize this ain't me. I need me a man. I need a man. Listen, there's no way a man could ever know what it is to be a woman. But this is how the satanic freaks use people, us, as camouflage. Read it again.
The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God.
All that do so is an abomination to God. This is why they're coming after the Bible. If we tell women when you go outside, listen, be yourself. Be your feminine self before all this other stuff and making yourself up and all that. Why? Because this is how men are using you as camouflage. Okay? If you have all on the stuff and all that and you can hide yourself, now what they do? They'll put on the eyelashes, they'll put on the hair, they'll put on all the stuff, and guess what? They're shaming you. They're shaming you, sisters. Because now they're going to say, even these guys now, it's to a degree where we don't know one from the other. What is that saying about you? But like, no, but if I tone it down and just be me, he can't be that. If I wear modest apparel and don't got all this stuff on and have my regular hairstyles, he can't hide himself amongst us anymore on these commercials where it be three sisters and they just pop one in real quick for a couple of seconds and it's and you didn't know the difference. See? This is why they hate the Bible, folks. If you just embrace your natural femininity without all the other stuff, now, like when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, we knew the people who was trying to be women. And it was clear. We knew the people that were trying to be women. Because our women wasn't running cover for them through camouflage by putting on the things that they can put on to actually, look like you. So you take the eyelashes off, take the hair off and do your little hair and your pigtails and all that and do that little stuff. They can't do that. See? They can't do that. You don't wear all the outlandish clothes. Get modest apparel real quick. This is why they started promoting all these cosmetics to women, because they had a plan under Sodom and Gomorrah to hide themselves amongst us. But when you follow the law and you're modest and you're individual, and back when I was growing up, every woman had their unique look, and it was okay because it couldn't be duplicated. But if everyone had the eyelashes, everyone had this here, and it seemed like they're trying to make a like you said, a cookie cutter of what a woman is by putting on all this stuff, taking away the individuality the Most High has blessed you with. And now the freaks are saying, I can put all that on too. And then, come on, girlfriend, let's go out. Nah, you'll be looking at that like, no, I'm cool. All right, I'm straight. But if they all got all the stuff on and you got that on, and now somebody have to get up close to see, like, is that a woman? Is that a man? Why are they asking those questions? Because these people, these men that do this, find themselves a woman they can camouflage themselves next to. See? See? Read it. Come on.
1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel.
See, the Most High knew, let me tell you, with this Bible, The Bible, brothers and sisters, is the secret sauce. See? That's the secret sauce. If you get modest and scaled down, it cannot be duplicated. A man cannot duplicate what the Most High have blessed a woman with naturally. It's unduplicated. Mm-hmm. But you must be modest. And men are saying right out, listen, we don't want that. Men are saying, listen, who you are naturally is who men want. Because these other people are coming in. Like, hold up. And our sisters already have strong features as women. So this is how they're able to usually camouflage and push this stuff all amongst our sisters. Because you have to modest it down, tone it down, so that we can look and say, okay, that's a dude right there. That's a woman right there. See? The responsibility is on you so that we can see the clear difference. Now that's a woman. Not all this stuff, not all this stuff caked on her and highlight here and all, because everything you're doing to get made up, he's doing. Okay. Okay, that's a woman. That's clearly a woman. See, this is how great the laws of God is. We can't talk about the kingdom and not talk about the princely men and their outward appearance and the responsibility that comes with what? A modest woman. Read.
Verse number 9. In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety.
With shamefacedness and sobriety. Check out this. Now, what we're talking about, these are princesses. These are real princesses. Shamefacedness is a woman who walks and is not looking for attention. See? Some people, I know the spirit of vanity would have you, look how many people looked at me. Looks is not what you want. A husband is what you want. A husband. You can get looks. When brothers was in the world going to the strip clubs, it was what? That was the show. These are the women who were there to get looks, but no man was looking to marry them. See? That's becoming an exhibitionist. You don't want to be an exhibitionist because men have categories. And if you look like what they went to the club for, automatically men being simple logic people will put you in that category. You're not marriage material. But the modest woman who walks and is not looking for the attention, who don't have to do all that, a man will see her quite differently. But a woman to be out there because understand there's competition and say, well, when I'm out there normal, I notice when I put the other stuff on is when men look at me. And it's unfair because they're getting all the attention. Sister, you are winning because the attention you get is going to be because of you. The Most High has done you a favor. You don't want the exhibitionist attention. That's for them. You want the modest woman attention to know that a man is going to love you the way you are. That's why he came to you, because you weren't like the rest. See? The high percentage of people will follow or walk down the street or holler at the exhibitionist. But these are the guys that women are complaining about. See? Don't worry about it. You don't want that type of attention. That's the club attention. That's the stripper attention. See? And not only that, the sodomites can out hide themselves amongst you. See? Finish reading.
Not with braided hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly array, but which becometh woman professing godliness.
Now, this is what professes this is what a woman is who profess godliness. Read.
But which becometh women professing godliness with good works.
With good works. With good works. Being a good person, charitable person, helping others. Striving to be a helpmeet to build a legacy with a man. That's success. That's the attention you're looking for. And now, not like the rest of women in the earth, you're setting a standard for yourself. Anyone can get looks. Anyone can get someone to lay down with them. But a modest woman gets a husband. See? If we want to talk about kingdom people, then you have to break it down on either side, right? Mm-hmm. Now, chapter and verse you had again, Elder Lawya, they was asking?
That was 1 Timothy 2:9.
1 Timothy 2:9. Now, this is not saying that you can't wear jewelry and braided hair. Men love a woman who take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. But sisters, brothers and sisters, you must admit, this thing has went way overboard. Mm. And it went so overboard, it's what these other people used to look like in their little exhibitionist shows they had privately when they were by themselves. That's how outlandish this thing has come. You know, people are walking around looking like Tammy Faye. Remember Tammy Faye from where it's all over the place. And you seen her face, and I'm like, man, even growing up, I'm like, man, this woman is weird. And I'm telling you that Jesus and the Lord, and Jesus, and I rebuke the spirit. I'm like, I'm rebuking your spirit. Mm. This woman looks like a Barnum and Belly circus freak with eyelashes out here, and I'm like, this must be a television character. And now the whole world is like that. Putting on eyelashes that hit the door 2 minutes before you get in. No, it don't work like that anymore. Women want to know what a man is and the simplicity of a man, and the same a man wants for a wife. Let's go. Anything else, Elder Rawchaa?
Yes, sir. Let's add one precept.
Let's go.
Proverbs 31, verse number 30.
Yeah.
Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised.
A woman that feareth the Most High shall be praised. And I know it's like, man, when I put on this stuff, I get all the attention. Yeah, you do. You do. Because the strip club spirit has now been accepted worldwide. But there's no marriages. Mm. There's a trade-off. A guy don't have to pay to go to the club anymore. When women are dressing up like exhibitionists. It's become the norm now. And people, they're not putting two and two together. Women are not saying, well, why men aren't marrying us like they used to? Because men don't marry strippers. Men are simple and logical people where they'll see it and be like, well, okay. They'll sleep with you, which is often all that in of itself, but automatically men have categories in their minds. And you getting looks and attention isn't saying that that person that's giving you looks and attention is going to marry you. Right? Now, let's get back on track. Romans 2. Dealing with it when it says those are without. Getting back into the Israelite context real quick. Dealing with those who are Israel. Who's in the spirit of an Israelite? what are the kingdom people according to Christ? How do we differentiate Israelites of the kingdom opposed to Israelites according to the flesh? Right? Let's go to Romans 2 real quick. Romans 2, and let's start at 12. I'm going to read that all the way through.
Romans chapter 2, verse 12.
Yeah, let's read it.
For as many as have sinned without the law shall also perish without the law. And
as many who have sinned without the law shall perish without the law. So this is speaking of sinful people. If they're walking in the earth and they deny the law of Christ and the law of God and continue in sin, guess what? Hell is their judgment. Read.
For as many as have sinned without the law shall also perish without law, and as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law.
And those that have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. So understand, when you take on this knowledge of being an Israelite and following the law, the responsibility that comes with it. There's a judgment for breaking it. So a lot of people talk about the Israelites mean we're the Israelites by bloodline, we're the chosen people, but are not really teaching the responsibility according to the law. As an Israelite, we became Israelites out of Egypt, were strangers in the wilderness, and received the law on Mount Sinai. See? And that's when we became an Israelites. And that's when the Most High said, Moses, give my people this law, which separates them from everyone else. And they are accountable for this, which makes them my chosen people. So if they break the law, they know they're Israelites, they'll be judged by that same law they have broken. See? Now I'm going here because so many people here claim they're Israelites, and they come and they get online and they start looking at all these different groups and all that, which you have the freedom to do so. Right? But you don't realize what's correct according to the Almighty in measuring the content that's coming, that's seeping into your minds. Right? Let's go.
For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law, and as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law.
Go ahead.
For not the hearers of the law are just before God.
Not just the hearers are just before the Almighty. Read.
But the doers of the law shall be justified.
But the doers of the law shall be justified. And I don't know what the Christians are talking about that the law is done away with. The law of sin through Christ is destroyed. The law of sin came with the sin of Adam. And y'all are mixing up that law with the laws given to Moses. Okay. You're supposed to follow the law. Read.
For not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified.
Come on.
For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law.
That means when the Gentiles do in the spirit, in their conscience, what's right, even without them knowing about the laws of Moses. Read.
These having not the law are a law unto themselves.
Them having not the law is a law unto themselves. Read.
Which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another.
It says now their works excusing and accusing one another. Even though they didn't receive the law, the same way when we thought we were Gentiles, we still had a conscience and understanding to what's right or wrong. So when the Gentiles, even though they don't know they're Israelites, they still know right from wrong. And they're judged, if they do right, they're being judged by a law written in heaven that was given to Moses. They're still following the law without the conscience of it. These are just naturally good people. Mm-hmm. And there's people out there like that. And folks, Don't let someone, because they're an Israelite, tell you that because someone is not from the blood of Israel, they're not good people. That's unfair. That's evil. That's wrong. Because there's Gentiles out there that without any of this Bible who have a conscience to do good things for everyone. Mm-hmm. They're nice people. I was looking at a video this morning, right? Out of nowhere, sometimes stuff pops up. And I'm like, let me look at this. There was this white guy. He's out there in the wilderness, camping and all that. And he hear a wolf trap. He hear a wolf crying. He goes there, and the wolf has a trap on its leg. And the white guy looks at it, but when he go to try to move the trap off his leg, what happens? Boom. Off the female leg, what happens? The wolf is trying to attack. He sees the fangs, so he says, okay, I can't do this, or this wolf is going to devour me. Right? So what he does is he spends the night. He pitches himself a tent and spends the night in the wilderness next to the wolf. Then the next morning he gets next to the wolf. I'm going to speed it up to let you know where it's going. He gets next to the wolf and he sees that there's milk in the wolf's, stomach. I'm like, hold up, man. She have pups out there somewhere. He pitches the tent next to the wolf, go to a cave, find the puppies. Bring the puppies next to the mother, because the puppies would have died, and they begin to suck their mother. And he noticed a change in the female wolf's eyes concerning him. The mother was concerned for her pups the whole time in the trap. And I'm like, this is interesting to me. So he stays longer. He stays another day, and he gets next and start rubbing the mother's head. And then move the trap off of the mother. Wraps it up and cleans the wolf, the she-wolf. And she's looking at him, right? And it's like she wants him to follow her. And he follows her to a pack of wolves with a male wolves and all that. And none of the wolves touches him. Save the wolf and her pups. I'm going to show you where it goes. He comes back 2 years later just to see what's going on. Folks, comes back 2 years later. And what happens? A bear is coming, is welling on him. He climbs a tree and the bear's trying to get him. And guess who comes to save this white guy? It was the wolf and her pups. I'm like, whoa. Look that up yourself. But I'm saying, you know what? It's something about, it's something when they say in the universe, good in the universe, bad in the universe. And there's just some good people who care not just about other people, but all of the Most High's creation. And it doesn't matter what their race is. It doesn't matter their race. We have to get over that because we as Israelites, and that's why I did the research and I had to really go into what really happened in slavery. Because the devil would like us to look at all races of people outside of Israelites as the enemy, including white people, and that's just not so. You have something, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir. Just going into the example of people showing an example of the law out of their conscience, out of their heart. 9 times out of 10, of course, I didn't see the video. I don't know the individual, but 9 times out of 10, he probably didn't read a scripture to come to a conclusion as to what he did. But however, that spirit of compassion and mercy, even upon creatures, is in the Bible. It's in the law. The book of Deuteronomy. Here's an example, 2 examples. Deuteronomy 22, verse number 6. If a bird's nest if a bird's nest chance to be before thee in the way in any tree or on the ground, whether they be young ones or eggs, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young. But thou shalt in any wise let the dam go, and take the young to thee, that it may be well with thee, that thou mayest prolong thy days. So there's laws protecting creatures in the Bible.
And it says it'll prolong your days. The Most High give you longer to live on earth if you take care of the animals. So if you see some eggs and the mother have died and it's a perch and the nesting fell, it was our responsibility under the law to bring those eggs in, hatch those eggs, and raise the birds. And then let them go free when they get of age. That was our responsibility under the law with nature. Lawyer, that's it. And go ahead, Elder Lawyer, you got something else?
Just one more precept.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Proverbs 12:10, a righteous man regardeth the life of his beasts, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel.
But the wicked is cruel. They destroy animals. They're evil. They're wicked concerning all creation. But the righteous care for all of the Most High's creation. Now, and I'm sure that guy I mentioned, Elder Lawyer, didn't know the laws of God. But the laws of God was written in his heart. He knew that the right thing to do was to save that wolf and save her puppies. That's a good person. That's a good person. Okay. Hey, I got one more for you real quick. No. It's too. I'll deal with that in the academy. I can't be dealing with stories. I got scriptures to deal with. Let's jump right in.
Back into Romans chapter 2, verse number 15.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another.
So the thoughts accuse or excuse. That means there's a conscious choice between good and evil in all people, even in those who didn't receive the law of God. Okay, Gentile people. Gentile people. Read.
And if I could mention as well, it also shows that what Paul was explaining, starting in Romans 1 all the way up until Romans 2, is that no one is without excuse when it comes to the Most High's righteousness. Like, we receive the commandments, and obviously we're responsible for keeping those commandments. But even if you didn't receive the commandments, the Most High still gave you a conscience. Your conscience tells you it's wrong. You don't need a deep breakdown to know that you're not supposed to steal.
Exactly.
Or sleep with somebody's wife or kill somebody. You don't need a breakdown for that. So still, your conscience tells you right from wrong, even without a written commandment.
Exactly. Let's go.
Verse number 16. In the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Yeshua the anointed according to my gospel. Behold, thou art called a Jew and restest in the law.
It says you are called a Jew. We're Jews or Judah, and we resteth in the law. We just saying, you hear people out there saying, the law. Right? And to some degree, it's right. But in another degree, if you're not dealing with the law according to the Spirit of Christ, you're dead wrong.
That's right.
Because you're using the law to do what? To gain authority over people. You're using it to put men in bonds under you.
That's right.
And that's what the Pharisees and scribes were doing. So watch when people saying, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. It's not because they want to see you do righteousness. They want to see if you can follow their view of what following the law is. And automatically they put you under their subjection. See? They're not telling you to follow the law to be a good person and be better for Christ. So that they're doing it so that you can be a better servant for them. Folks, I've witnessed all that. And understand this. I understand what it means to be under a schoolmaster, where people are only telling you to do something to benefit themselves, to make you servants, slaves of slaves. See? They're telling you you should be free from Esau only to make a slave of you. I'm going to show you, folks. All Israel is not of Israel. That's why I have fun with guys who call me in the week and try to tell me what I need to do and what I need to apply to what I'm teaching. And yeah, you need to add this and add that. I'm like, yeah, I have fun with them sometimes. You know, I got a couple of minutes. I'm like, so, all right. So I got my computer in front of me. This is the World Wide Web. I'm sure your works are somewhere I can find. And I'm not downplaying what you're saying. But you're not with us, building with us, telling us, asking us what we should do. We take suggestions all the time amongst the body. But if you're going to be all this on the outside, are you saying you're going to work with? Are you telling me this to be a part of this, brother? Do you want to be a part of this church? Well, no, I'm just saying. Well, what am I listening to you for? The kingdom must build together, brother. And if you have works out there that's beyond what we're saying, do your works. What are you calling me for? Mm-hmm. I'm only interested in those that are looking to build together. So you're not going to come in a work that we've been dealing with for years and think you're going to be the cherry on top. And we had to bring the glass, the ice cream, the scoops, the chocolate syrup, the caramel, the sprinkles. And you be like, well, hold up, elders. It ain't finished. It's not finished. I've been checking y'all out for a long time. And you know what y'all missing? I'm the cherry on top. No, it don't work like that. You are wretched, just like we've all admitted we were wretched and needed that water for baptism. And when we were baptized, we admitted to all, including the heavens, that we're no different. And you must build your works just like us, to a degree in which now what you're bringing can now be respected and added. That's what the body does. We take advice all the time, but we must prefer those who are within. I don't know what your intentions are. I don't know you. See? So people get upset because they see the work, or they get offended, and they be like, well, let me find something they're not teaching. Let me find something that I feel they haven't touched on, right, so that I can now gain some authority day one. Doesn't work like that. You must build from the beginning like us and be trusted, and build a relationship to be trusted. And those works will actually give you a voice. See? Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Verse number 17.
Yes.
Behold, thou art called a Jew, and restest in the law.
You resteth in the law.
And makest thy boast of God.
And you maketh a boast of God.
And knowest his will.
And you know everything the Most High want us to do.
And approvest the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the law.
Being instructed strictly out of the law, the Old Testament.
And art confident that thou art thyself a guide of the blind.
And you are confident that you can guide those who are in darkness.
A light of them which are in darkness. An instructor of the foolish. A teacher of babes, which has the form of knowledge and of truth and the law.
So you have people out there that have the form of the knowledge and truth. These are the people that are only pointing out, this is what you're not doing. This is what you're not doing. Instead of focusing on your gift. Your gift is what you bring to the body. What makes you just as spiritual as all of us. That's what Christ did. That's what Christ did. You can't talk to a person only to try to figure out how you can gain the moral high ground over them. That's Pharisee. That's Pharisee. Oh no, well, yeah, brother. I understand what you're saying, but that's off. That's off right there. That's off. Nah. Sometimes you have to conversate with people and just have them be the conversation or whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. And I had to learn that too. I was raised and I learned I was an Israelite under Pharisee doctrine. So I know the difference. I'm going to point that out in a moment. I know the difference in being in Christ and understanding the law according to Christ, and being an Israelite according to the flesh. And judging everything from and dealing with everyone from a condescending vantage point. That's the spirit of a Pharisee. I got it, and you're not going to get. I got it, and you don't have it. Mm-hmm. See? I'm going to show y'all. Stick tight. Let's read.
Verse number 21. Thou therefore which teachest another, teachest thou not thyself?
It says you can teach another, but yet you cannot teach yourself. Read.
Thou that preachest a man should not steal, doest thou steal? Thou that sayest a man should not commit adultery, doest thou commit adultery? Thou that abhorrest idols, doest thou commit sacrilege?
Let me tell you, folks, I've seen scenarios, even growing up a Pharisee, my early 20s. Okay? I've seen instances where a sister would come into the truth, has a man, and was told because that man don't believe what they were teaching, what we were teaching, that he can be discarded. Only for a man of authority to marry that woman. I've seen it. Remember in the Old Testament, and when David seen that was the Bathsheba story. I mean that was the Bathsheba story. That was Bathsheba. Abigail was the one with the king. Yeah. He seen Bathsheba and had to have her, and put her husband on the front line infantry to die so that he could be justified in marrying her. That was in the law. I've seen it I seen being a Pharisee growing up as an Israelite when it was at its height, before on the streets and all that. I was there. Okay. General, all that. And I've seen people justify, because a guy don't have the truth, I can marry his wife. He doesn't exist. He's off. Convince her to leave only to marry her. Okay? You should never, if someone don't believe husband and wife, and their husband and wife, when they're living together, I don't care what someone joined. You're not supposed to tear a husband and wife apart, even if one is adamant against it. That's wrong. That's wicked. That's evil. That's wicked. That's evil. If you have an unbelieving husband or an unbelieving wife, and if they leave, you're not in bondage in such cases. But you can't have it a rule that if this person don't come in at this amount of time, by this amount of time, then you're justified in leaving that, and I'm going to match you with someone who believes what we believe. That's against the Bible. Let's read it real quick in Corinthians.
Yes, sir. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, And starting at verse 11.
Where you leave off at Romans?
Romans chapter 2, verse number 24.
There's more I want to get there after that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
1 Corinthians chapter 7, I'll start at verse 10.
Read.
And unto the married I command you, yet not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. Jumping down, verse number 13. And the woman which have an unbelieving, or a husband that believeth not.
So if a woman have a husband that believeth not, now this is the New Testament. Israelites everywhere teach the New Testament. So if you have two people coming in, one is saying, I don't like what's going on there. I believe it's a cult, whatever the case is. I've had that happen even within the church where people would come in and their husband or wife is adamantly against what they're learning. And I refer back to scripture.
And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not.
If you have a husband that don't believe.
And he be pleased to dwell with her.
But he still love his wife. He don't believe what we're teaching. Mm-hmm. They will find until she began to go online and find something outside of his home. Okay. He's not the one that has changed. She's the one who has changed. Read.
Let her not leave him.
Let her not leave him. Let her not leave him. Okay. He's this and he's that. He's this, he's that. Or she's this, she's that. That's the same person that was fine before you found this. Mm-hmm. That person hasn't changed. You have changed. Be patient. Be patient. That's a weaker vessel when it comes to this. If one who's caught up in a fault, him that's being weak, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. If you have somebody that's weaker in the faith or don't understand, it doesn't mean they don't love you. Your actions on how you deal with this transformation could win that husband, could win that wife. That's a kingdom. How can you build a kingdom splitting things up? Right? So it's in the Bible. You don't say because this is where that cult mentality comes in. Where now you have someone who comes in with the authority you believe have the spirit of the Most High, and they crazy. They're off. You don't separate a family. You give them the knowledge and counseling to stay together. Go back to Romans real quick.
Romans chapter 2, verse 24.
Yes.
Or verse 23.
Read it.
Thou that makest thy boast of the law, through breaking the law, dishonorest thou God? For the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written.
It says that your name, Israel, is blasphemed among the Gentiles. You think the other nations can't see this awakening? But yet we claim to hold the law, and they read the law and say, well, hold up. These guys are claiming to be Israel, but they're breaking the same law they're claiming they're upholding. Okay, how can you have a law in your church that say that people that if they don't convert in a certain amount of time, that the husband and wife should divorce? That means your law is above God's. Mm-hmm. How can you be out there cursing people out, calling our sisters all types of names and all that, and don't think the nations aren't looking at that saying, well, hold up, they don't even have any respect for their women. They don't have no respect for their women. Our women are they're beyond out of control. We understand that. But the men are well beyond control either. Also. And it's a back and forth thing. It's a back and forth thing with each other. But yes, you have brothers out there. Let me tell you, folks, I probably have to save this for the Israelite doctrine in the academy. because there's so much. But the nations are clocking all of this and seeing this, claiming, and we're claiming to be Israel and followers of the law. They're clocking all this and saying, nah, these people are not following the law. This is something else. What's the law of Christ? Read.
For the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you.
Through us, read.
As it is written.
As it is written.
For circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keep the law.
Circumcision does what?
Circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keep the law.
If you keep the law, circumcision profit. Read.
But if thou be a breaker of the law.
But if you out there breaking the law,
thy circumcision is made uncircumcision.
So even though you are an Israelite according to Christ, if you're breaking the law on purpose and teaching others to do so, you are Gentile. It doesn't matter if you can trace your bloodline back to the SS de Judah and know that the blacks are Jews. You are Gentile in your mind. If you teach people you're the person of the law, the people of the law, but yet break it. Read.
Thy circumcision is made uncircumcision.
That means all the truth you learned about being Israelites are undone. It's finished. You might as well shouldn't have ever come to this truth. Everything you learned up until this point means nothing to the Most High anymore. Read.
Verse 26, therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law.
But you have the Gentiles and even our people who don't know they're Israelites, but they are good people, doing what's right according to their conscience. Read.
Shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision?
Shouldn't their uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? So if they're naturally keeping the law of God by being good people, shouldn't God count their actions as those who are following the law? And so many people ask me, what about my grandmother, my grandfather who didn't know they were Israelites? This scripture applies to them. Because what they did by being good people, the Most High seen them as Israelites following the law, even though these same people didn't know they were Israel. The Most High seen them as Israel following his law, being good people. See? Read.
And shall not the uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee, who by the letter and circumcision doest transgress the law?
So shouldn't that same law judge you now like it did our forefathers? You know you're an Israelite, but break the law on purpose. Anything else there?
2 more verses.
Come on.
For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly.
He is not a Jew who is one outwardly.
Neither is.
And that's why I said we're going to destroy that cookie cutter thing that people are putting out there of what an Israelite is. You can have a beard hitting the floor. You can wear the fringes. You can have the border of blues. You can have the precepts. You can even have a mitri. But are you an Israelite according to Christ? Or a Pharisee? But hold up. Don't answer. You don't have to answer that question until my next chapter. I'm going to let Christ answer that question for you. Read.
But he is a Jew, it says, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh.
In the flesh.
But he is a Jew, which is one inwardly.
One inwardly.
And circumcision is that of the heart.
Of that of the heart. You care for people. You care for what's right. Regardless of race. You care for what's right. And not just judging the outward appearance. Read.
In the spirit, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of God.
Whose praise is not of men, but of God. But let's go into the praise of men. Let's go to Matthew 23. Before you get that, let's go to Galatians 3 and 23. Galatians 3 and 23 and 24. And go to, matter of fact, get Matthew 23, then Galatians 3. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Matthew chapter 23, verse 1. Then spake Yeshua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat.
Now the disciples are Israelites here. Christ took the leaders of his kingdom. That's right. They were prophesied to be the leaders, the 12 pillars, the 12 disciples, and said, look, let me show you the Pharisees and scribes real quick. Let's now teach you the Israelites you are not to be. Read.
The scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat.
He says the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat, which means they're lawgivers. Read.
All therefore whatsoever they bid you, observe, that observe and do, but do not after their works.
But do not after their works. He says when they go into the Torah and they show you the laws and all that, follow that. But don't do after their works. Okay? Do not do after their works. Read.
For they say and do not.
Because they're telling you what you should and should not be doing. But I know. When the temple's closed, they're out there doing all types of stuff. Okay? So when they teach in the synagogue and they drop all the laws and all that, listen to that. But understand you're learning from hypocrites. That's what he was telling the disciples, folks. And folks, I'm going to tell you right now, man, whew, growing up in the 90s, Israelite. And guess what? I'll get no pushback from this at all. Folks, I'll get no pushback, and you won't hear anyone actually making videos against what I'm dropping right now, because they know it's true. Okay? 90s. That's right. In the 90s, the same guys on the street. I was there, folks. And I'm talking. And when I found out about it, I'm like, yo, and I'm reading the gospel and all this. I'm like, no, something is weird going on. When I'm talking about grace was, yeah, man, yeah, we going to the club. I'm like, but what club? He said, when you get older, when you get higher in knowledge and grace, you understand how to operate in grace. I'm dealing in the entertainment world, trying to write songs and all, and I know what the world is. And I'm like, what club? What y'all? Sometimes, it's about, it's about the meat, the flesh, meat. I'm like, what? I'm like, you talking about the pole thing? Well, just knock. You ain't on that level yet. I'm like, yeah. Okay. All right. And you'll never get, I'll never get pushed back with that, because guess what? They'll teach and they'll go to where the people I was talking about earlier are dancing. Okay? And that's the truth. Now, when it comes to doctrinal wise, this is what Christ was talking about. Is what they're teaching according to the law, is that correct or incorrect? That's correct. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. All that stuff is right. But don't do after their works. Don't do after their works. That's what Christ is talking about. Listen to what he's saying here. Look at what he's showing. Read.
Verse 4. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne.
They'll come down on you for breaking one law.
And lay them on men's shoulders.
And they'll make you feel like you have scorched the earth, have destroyed mankind with breaking one small law. Read.
But they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers.
But yet they won't. hold themselves to the same standards. Okay. Read.
Verse 5. But all their works they do for to be seen of men.
All their works they do to be seen of men. It's about who am I? My position with God, and I'm this person in command, and I'm this spirit. I'm this. I'm reincarnated from another dimension, and I've come here to save Israel. Instead of just saying, I'm children of slaves. I'm a humble servant of Christ. I'm a sinner. I need saving. It's all about this greatness without putting forth who you are and who we all are. Wretched. And it's only through Christ's blood and through the Holy Spirit that guides us into that perfect man. It's the humility of understanding that none of us aren't good enough. It's through Christ we're accepted. And that's humbling in itself. But most people cannot operate on that spirit because they need to be admired. Like the Pharisees and scribes. It's about, no, I'm here, I'm there, I'm this, I'm that. No, we're all wretched. Even if even when we fight against what's wrong with us and do right, the wretched thought still exists. Those are our thoughts. See, even though we choose to do right and follow righteousness, we cannot overcome the thoughts. And when you come to that realization, you understand we need help from the outside, and that humbles you, that humbles us to realize that we're only a piece of the whole. We are a piece of Christ's body. We're only a part of it. We're not Christ. But it takes a humbling scenario to happen to where we actually just operate in the part of the body we're gifted. And thank the Most High by operating in that body for the reward that comes with it. But let me tell you, the disciples, man, he was taking the disciples to school right here. He was taking them to school in Matthew 23. And it's as if he put a window into the future of our awakening and saying, yo, you can be an Israelite, but let me show you who the Pharisees and scribes are. They're not my Israelites. See? They're not my Israelites. Let's read.
Verse 5. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries.
They make broad their phylacteries. Read.
And enlarge the borders of their garments.
And enlarge the borders of their garments. It's about shining and everyone seeing the garments and all that. And that's why when we first started the ministry, we purposely got together and said, you know what? We're not going to wear all that. We're going to put on all white and just teach the people the word of God. Let them be out there shining and have all this stuff and the sticks and all that. Just be out there with the whole, which is all white, so we can take what the eyes off of us into the word concerning what's about to happen in the earth. And we were teaching in 8th and Market in different areas. Guess what? Lawya was there, and everyone. The police had to be there an hour before we got there, because as soon as we hit the street, it was a crowd pushing on us. The whole corner was packed by people, and the cops would have to move people out of the way, and we were just normal sitting there with white garments on without all the shine. There was no fringes or nothing. And I did it that way on purpose. The Spirit of the Most High guided us to do it that way on purpose, to show it's not about our shine and how many garments we got on and how our beards hit the floor. The people just want to understand the word of God. They want to understand him. And sometimes what we put on and what we do gets in the way. It gets in the way. And I tried it that way. Just white garment on and not even shining nothing. Just bringing the fire, bringing the word, just dropping it with no stuff on. I have a meter or nothing. And guess what? Streets was packed to the point where guys from the other camps and all that had to come out to try, and all red and all that, to try to shut me down from teaching. And what I was teaching, I was on the street teaching, not only I was an Israelite, but the power of baptism. That being an Israelite could puff you up because you have more knowledge than our brothers and sisters who haven't learned this in our neighborhoods. It can puff you up to make you believe you're better than them. The Most High said, go out there, you teach baptism, and on top of teaching baptism, you teach them a judgment is coming. And that eventually we will be moved again. That we'll have to flee. We'll have to be someplace else because judgment is coming to Babylon. And you tell my people to repent, be baptized for the remission of sins. And you teach the Jews and the Gentiles for the kingdom to come. And don't worry about it. They're going to make their face harder than yours. They're going to come against you. They're going to say all types of things against you. Just do it. Because an Israelite is not what you put on. An Israelite is in you. It's your bloodline. It's the heavens it's the heavens communicating. And Jerusalem, our mother, calling for her children. It's all of those spirits operating at once, calling Zion, calling Israel home. Just teach that. I didn't have all the flamboyant stuff or nothing. I just on the street with white on. And guess what? It was resonating. It resonated to a degree where this ministry is today. See? Y'all don't know the stories. Of course, in the academy, I'm going into an Israelite doctrine to go into it, that journey. And guess what? I thank the Most High because I understand now what it means. Hold that. And read Galatians 3:23.
Galatians chapter 3, verse 23.
Read.
But before faith came, we were kept under the law.
We were kept under the law. Read.
Shut up unto the faith which should afterwards be revealed.
It shut up to the faith which is afterward would be revealed. Who was revealed? Christ. It was shut up, the true understanding of what it means to follow the Most High. Even when Moses received the law, it was still limiting. It was limiting to us. It wasn't complete until Christ came and began to put the rest of it in his disciples. So it was deeper than just what you had on and how you looked. The letter. Read.
24. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ.
That's why I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing, even my upbringing under Pharisees and scribes. Because why? That was my schoolmaster. You don't know Christ unless you first learn the law and what it means to be under Pharisees and scribes. Before the disciples were chosen by Christ, they were under the power of the Sanhedrin, respecting the synagogue, the Pharisees and scribes. The law is our schoolmaster. That's step one. That's first grade. That's first grade, folks. That's grade school. The law is our schoolmaster that brings us to Christ. But once we understand Christ, it all opens after that. That's when the knowledge comes to the next level. Where it's deeper than doing just the do's and don'ts. See? That's when learning the Bible becomes exciting. Okay, I don't eat pork. I know what the holy day is, and becomes vain repetition where you're just doing it because what? It's more ceremonial according to the flesh than the knowledge expanding beyond your acts in the flesh. It becomes vain repetition. Okay, I go to the Sabbath. I go to Holy Day. I do this. I go speaking. But you never progress to that level of Christ. You just stay on the same level. See? But when you understand that law is the schoolmaster, it is a step. But then Christ, with his unlocks the truth of that law and what it means when it comes to judgment. Not just judging this earth, but what we can't see. It opens up the next level of the Bible. See? The law is our schoolmaster to bring us to Christ. The law wasn't made to put us under bonds of men. The law wasn't given to us for that. So that now they can say, well, you're no longer a slave of Esau, but serve me. The law wasn't made for that. Christ made to set us free. He gave us the law to set us free from Egypt. It's after we were free from Egypt, only to be bonds to slaves. You be released from the white man, and now you're serving man. You're serving Israel now. You have to be free to serve the living God, not through bonds, not someone using the law as a battering ram to keep you under them. I'm going to show you this. Christ breaks that down. Let's go to Matthew. Let's go to Matthew 23 now.
St. Matthew chapter 23.
Read.
Verse number 6.
Come on.
And love the uppermost rooms at feast, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets.
They love the high places, to be seen on stage above everyone else. And that's why purposely what we did, even for the Passover, when we have tables. Now, of course, we have to have security because sometimes, of course, if we teach the truth, there's threats out there and all that. So I have to watch myself security-wise in public. But brothers and sisters, this is why when we have Passover, and anyone can tell you we at the Passover, I'm sitting, Elder Lawya and others are sitting on the floor with everyone else at a table. We're on the floor. Passover day, everyone can see my table, we can see their table, and I'm not on. Now, when I teach, everyone have to see it, so I have to teach it. But when it's time to eat and to sup and to break bread, I'm on the floor with everyone else. Read.
Verse 8. But be ye not called rabbi.
Be ye not called rabbi, teacher. Now, we're called who? Elders, because these are positions that are allocated under the apostles. Every office that is allocated or that's given out in this church is according to the offices Christ gave the disciples. Read.
But be ye not called rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ.
Master. That means someone putting themselves in some high position. I'm this, I'm third, I'm this, I'm that, I'm comforter, I'm that. No, can't do it. Read.
And all ye are brethren.
And all ye are what?
And all ye are brethren.
He told the disciples, all ye are brethren. Never lose your humility. Learn under me. If anyone could have came to this earth and showed some forth of authority or position, it would have been me. Operate in the humility you've witnessed. You have people that's going to use this understanding and use this knowledge to do what? To put themselves as some type of savior. When the saving comes in the whole as a kingdom. It comes through your humility. It comes with your love towards your fellow man, those that are within and those who are without. Read.
And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven.
Come on.
Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ.
Come on.
But
He says, one is your master, even Christ. That's right. Our leader sits on the right hand of the Father. That's our leader.
That's right.
Read.
Verse 11, but he that is greatest among you shall be your servant, and whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, for ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in.
And this is the hypocrisy of Pharisees and scribes. They're not going into the kingdom themselves, but they'll shut it up for people who wants the kingdom. See? This Christ said what? Be baptized for the remission of sins. That's your entry. That's your first step towards the kingdom. And they'll tell people that you don't have to be baptized. Convincingly. They're not getting into the kingdom, folks. At all. They're unrepentant sinners that's not getting in. Rejecting Christ's baptism and telling everyone else that they shouldn't do that. That's Christian. They're shutting up the kingdom of heaven for those who would come in. But they're not even getting in themselves. Like, baptism, we shouldn't be baptized. What did Christ say? Baptism is the word. John the Baptist had the word, so did Christ, and they were both baptized. The disciples had the words, and they were baptized and baptized others. This is the clear distinction between the Israelites for the kingdom and the others. This was the dividing line. In the beginning, the Most High divided the waters from the waters. That he saved us through water coming through the Red Sea. That would always be the defining line between the Israelites who would get into the kingdom and all others. That was the dividing line. So when people are coming into the knowledge of truth or whatever, before they can get any knowledge from anyone, they have to ask certain questions like, what is your take on baptism? And don't let them try to claim this is the GOCC thing. Because Christian churches were baptizing before there was a gathering of Christ Church. And the disciples baptized before that.
Right.
So you have to watch how they can move the ball when you're asking them questions. And if they say that they don't acknowledge the baptism as the entry for the kingdom of heaven, at that point, anything they do teach you, they sit on Moses' seat. Anything they bid you do, but don't do after their works. So if there's something good you can learn in the law concerning them, it's all good. But know you're speaking with people who aren't getting into the kingdom of heaven. You cannot teach the kingdom people and not show the people who are shutting the doors for those who would come in. The kingdom is within you. And these same people have the power to change. They have the power to say, you know what? This is not a hill I'm going to die on. Christ said to baptize, let me just make a public proclamation that we will baptize everyone in our church for this kingdom, and will baptize going forward. But pride won't allow them. Because why? If you're viewing things through the flesh, you're going to say, well, I'm not going to do it because GOCC does it. when we're not the people who commanded this. Pride won't allow you. Just like the Pharisees and scribes, when they seen John baptizing, even though they seen something going on, a movement happening, they could not yield themselves to it because they didn't want the people outwardly to acknowledge, to see them acknowledging that they were no different than the rest. They felt it was an attack on their authority. So they denied it. Even though they seen after that a clear difference in the earth when it came to the understanding of the Old Testament, Christ's teaching. They witnessed it and still denied the baptism. Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Verse number 12.
Come on.
And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased.
Whoever shall exalt themselves above the power and ministry of Christ shall be abased. Read.
And he that shall humble himself shall be exalted.
Read that again.
And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted.
And he that humble himself, he told the disciples that one of the greatest attributes you'll have amongst others is your humility. People will understand what an Israelite is, not just outwardly, but inwardly. It's not about how big your mouth is and how loud you can shout and how you can point to what's wrong. Who in this earth now cannot point to what's wrong? It's the love you show to others. Your humility will separate you from those who claim they're Israelites. Read on.
13. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees.
But woe, destruction unto you, scribes and Pharisees.
Hypocrites.
Hypocrites.
For ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, for ye neither go in yourselves.
He says you're shutting up the kingdom of heaven for men. You're not giving them the entry point that was shown to John the Baptist and was shown to my disciples. You're stopping them. You're in the way of Christ. Read.
For ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in.
You're not going in, and because you chose not to, you're making a doctrine to stop God's people from making it. You're becoming a stumbling block before them with your doctrine. Because if you said it, they would do it. With all the authority you're using Christ's name to do what? To teach against my baptism. That is the distinct, clear line between those who were Christ's disciples and all others. Pharisees, scribes, and others. Read.
Verse 14. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you devour widows' houses.
You devour widows' houses.
And for a pretense make long prayer.
And for a pretense you make long prayer.
Therefore ye shall receive the greater damnation.
Therefore you shall receive the greater damnation. Folks, I'll go into this more. I think I'll do this like week 9 of the Academy, Israelite Doctrine. But folks, you can't make this up, folks. We had a thing, growing up Israelites, where at the end of each prayer, at the end when we pray the Lord's Prayer, you had to pray what? And face the 4 corners. Face the 4 corners in your prayer. Yeah. Y'all don't know this, do you? While the smoke was going on, you had to face the 4 corners. Then I did the research even back then and realized that King Manasseh did this, an evil king of Judah, where he began to pray to the 4 winds of the heavens. It was witchcraft. And that's why Christ came and said, no, nix all that. This is how you pray, disciples. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Yeah, you can face the east if you would like, but guess what? Say this prayer. That's right. A lot of y'all don't even realize this. I mean, when I go into Israelite doctrine, I'm going to break the whole thing down because guess what? A lot of those practices is still being upheld in this world today under the guise of Israelites, where people would stand up and don't even have the history that was King Manasseh praying to the four winds of heaven. Straight pagan prayer. And that's why when I break it down, when I go into Israelite doctrine, I'm breaking everything down from my personal experience doctrinal wise. I don't have to point out a person and who they are personally and all that. I'm not even going into that. Doctrine. Because a lot of our people are caught up under that witchcraft and believe that that's synonymous with what God and Christ meant for their people. King Manasseh prayed to the four winds of heaven. So they have the smoke going up with the incense and they're praying like that to the four winds of heaven. King Manasseh, do your research, do your history. Guess what? With this lesson, we're breaking a lot of you free too. Because I know that a lot of you in these that's out there, y'all have been a part of that and wanted to ask, well, what was this about? I couldn't find this anywhere in the Bible. Look up King Manasseh praying to the four winds of heaven. That's what you're doing. Let's go.
Verse number 15. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye can pass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves.
That means you convert someone into Israel and they become a worse person than they were before converting. They become worse people. You make them 2 times the child of hell than you are. It's like a demon releases and goes into the person and they become a carbon copy of their teacher, not realizing it's a demon. Become rogue, disrespectful. Once was a nice person, cursing everyone out. Don't respect anything. And have the same gestures, the same mannerisms as the guy that taught you. Demon possession is what that is. Read on.
Verse 16. Woe unto you, ye blind guides, which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing, but whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifieth the gold? And whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing, but whosoever sweareth by the gold that is upon it, he is guilty. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifieth the gift?
Come on.
Whoso therefore shall swear by the altar sweareth by it, and by all things thereon. And whosoever shall swear by the temple sweareth by it, and by him that dwelleth therein.
Come on.
And he that shall swear by heaven sweareth by the throne of God, and by him that sitteth thereon. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law.
That means you'll follow the law of tithing and all that, which is part of the law. But you omitted the weightier matters. What are they?
Judgment.
Mercy.
Mercy
for people.
And faith.
If you don't have these 3, the others are void. You don't see Christ. Christ is merciful. Christ is faithful. See? But ye are carnal. Let's go. One that's an Israelite. Let's go. Romans 9. And I need you to go to the book of Jubilees because I need to show something at the very end on this Corona thing. I mean, this Coke 45 thing. I have to say it. Or Corona with a Lyme virus. Let's read it. Romans 9.
Romans 9.
Let's start at 1.
Romans 9:1. I say the truth in Christ, I lie not. My conscience also bear me witness in the Holy Spirit, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart, for I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ.
Accursed from Christ.
For my brethren.
For my brethren.
My kinsmen.
My kinsmen.
According to the flesh.
According to the flesh. Paul was praying for physical Israelites here. Read.
Who are Israelites.
Who are Israelites.
To whom pertaineth the adoption.
Pertaineth means belong to. Adoption means the people that broke the old covenant through Christ's blood now is adopted back into the original covenant. Okay? Through Christ, there's a what? New agreement. Come on.
And the glory.
And the glory.
And the covenants.
And the covenant.
And the giving of the law.
And the giving of the law.
And the service of God.
The service of God, priests.
And the promises.
And the promises given to our father Abraham, which will be covered tomorrow. Read.
Whose are the fathers, and of whom as concerning the flesh Christ came.
Hold up. As who concerning the what?
Whom as concerning the flesh Christ came.
Christians say, I'm a spiritual Israelite, brother. I'm a spiritual Israelite.
And of whom as concerning the flesh Christ came.
There is no such thing as a spiritual Israelite. The same way there's no such thing as a spiritual Edomite or a spiritual Ishmaelite or spiritual Hamite. You can only be an Israelite according to the flesh. So that's one Israelite. But then Christ does what? He severs and sifts amongst that for a remnant out of the whole. And this is what the New Testament is about. It ain't about all Israelites.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
The New Testament is about that remnant who would follow Christ. Anyone else are outside with the Gentiles, where or how many laws they claim they're following. Read.
Verse number 5. Whose are the fathers, and of whom as concerning the flesh Christ came, who is over all, God be blessed forever. Amen. Not as though the word of God have taken none effect. For they are not all Israel, which are of Israel.
Read that again.
Not as though the word of God have taken none effect. For they are not all Israel, which are of Israel.
They are not all Israel that are of Israel, brothers and sisters. So be careful out there. Just because someone know a few scriptures and can break down Deuteronomy and can use the Hebrew blue letter online doesn't mean they're Israelites according to Christ. Understand that. Above all, you shall know them by their fruit. Okay? You should know them by their fruit and their works. And their works is what? It's planted, and what comes, and when it's planted, what comes out later from what's planted? The fruits of the Spirit. If you sow corruption and evil, that's what grows. But if you convert someone who was humble, loving, had what you would call an eager spirit to learn of the Almighty and was humble at first, and then once he transforms and converted, becomes radical, brutish, destructive. At that point, you must realize by the end product what was planted. It wasn't Christ. It wasn't Christ. All Israel is not of Israel. Okay? All Israel is, and when you come from those schools of thought, the only way to make it, if you come from any of those old Pharisee schools of thought, is to do what? You must learn from the beginning. If you try to bring any of that tainted doctrine amongst the fold, you'll spoil everyone. I know. Let me tell you, I'm from the stock of Pharisee, one of the most recognized groups before all these splinters and all this crap when it was just a school. And if you come from it, understand, the only thing that really that I learned was correct growing up in that, I learned I was an Israelite. I learned the history concerning the Israelites and the history of the Middle Ages. I learned to follow the law, and I appreciate all of that as learning the schoolmaster. Okay? That's what you learn. But when it comes to Christ, his doctrine, and the kingdom of heaven, and the judgments, and why things is, and the future concerning judgment of the fallen ones, and the realms and of angels and all that, no, you don't learn any of that there. It's limiting. It's the first step. It's the schoolmaster that brings us to Christ. That's why I say I wouldn't change a thing. It's limiting. It's limited doctrine. And it's not the truth. Being an Israelite isn't the truth. Christ is the truth. Christ, let me repeat that. Christ is the truth. He sent forth that light that guides us out of darkness. It's through that Spirit that the Holy Spirit will continue to abide amongst us to guide us into the wilderness. It's him. Let's read it, Elder Lawya.
Sir, Hebrews 5:12.
Read.
For when the time you ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again.
And it says, and this is the book of Hebrews. This is the book of Hebrews. Now, if you're an Israelite with other doctrines and all that, who better to sit down with you and go through with you in it than someone who understands what you're teaching and have gone through it? See? Read it again. Because why? When someone comes from those particular groups, you're automatically taught that you must be acknowledged as some level of authority after learning under that. That's part of the programming. But no. Nicodemus was high priest. And what did he do? He snuck out at night to learn the true doctrine of Christ. He snuck out in the darkness of night to learn the truth. And he was high priest. No one knew the law. There's not an Israelite in this earth who knows the law better than Nicodemus. Okay? Let's make that clear. You must learn again because it was wrong. It was the wrong doctrine. It's the wrong doctrine. And like I was teaching in the academy a while back, the reason why it's the wrong doctrine, because the same people that began it all in the early 60s and 70s didn't believe in Christ. But later on, they added Christ as a component, which conflicted with their doctrine, where it would have to get changed every other year because they're conflicting with Christ. Christ is now what? Conflicting with the past doctrine. But if you tear it down and build it as Christ as the chief cornerstone, and you build the Israelite doctrine on top of that, then you don't have to come back and change it every 3 or 4 years. See? These same teachers, and we respect the fact that the Most High used teachers in the 60s, 70s, and 80s that would begin to sound the trumpet that the blacks in America and in other places are in fact the true children of Israel. And that particular doctrine is what was needed for that time. But that's only the schoolmaster. Read it, Elder Lawyer.
For when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk, and not of strong meat.
If you come from one of these other groups, you have to understand you are in need of milk. There's a higher level, there's a higher teaching than just knowing you're Israel. What that milk is. We're going to drop it for you real quick. It was given to the disciples. Your beginning stages in believing or coming to the truth. You knowing you're an Israelite, it's the schoolmaster. But now we're talking about the higher knowledge now. What happened before the flood? Who's really controlling the politicians of this world? Spiritual warfare. Demonology. Who are the demons? Where did they come from? How do we battle against these spirits? How do we heal our people outside of modern medicine? See? Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. If I can mention as well, even the knowledge of who Christ is all throughout the Old Covenant. That's what the book of Hebrews was about. Because the Israelites were questioning, how can he be he's the high priest, but he's from Judah. He's the king. And then also he's the sacrifice. How can this one man be all these things? And they had to lay it out and show them that, listen, you got to learn again. Everything you learned from the Old Covenant has to be relearned with the understanding of how Christ fulfilled it.
Exactly. And I'm glad you pointed that out. Because they was dealing with it from what you would call a historical standpoint.
Right.
Showing slave ships and all that. And all that's good. But where do Christ play a part in that? See, Christ began to teach of him in the Old Testament. And showing himself in the Old Testament. We're going in it just to find us.
Right.
And are limited to that level.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Right. If I can mention real quick. When he did that in the book of Luke, where he showed himself out of the Old Testament, it says, then he opened their understanding of the scriptures. Meaning they didn't fully have the understanding of scripture until he showed himself out of the scriptures.
Exactly.
So as you mentioned earlier, if you can't teach Christ out the Old Testament, you don't know the Old Testament.
Exactly. What we'll do as Israelites, Elder Lawyer, we would start and say Moses.
Right.
Commandments. Right. Laws. When Christ was like, yo, the disciples already knew that. Let me show you me. It's a whole nother understanding beyond your realm.
Right.
Okay? Now that you have that schoolmaster, that was all good. But Moses prophesied me. I'm going to open your understanding to why you went into why your people have to go into captivity. Why we gave you the law. Because this thing is way deeper than what's here on earth. Right. I gave you the law to judge what came to earth before man. Whole nother level. Right? I gave you the law because you're going to stand with me in judgment. See? Hey, but don't worry about it. The judgment of the gods, week 12. But go ahead.
You wanted something out of Jubilees?
Yeah, I need you to get... Now, before we break down, the kingdom is within us. I wanted to go into when Christ says, as the days of Noah, then shall the coming of the Son of Man be. to show you what was going on right after the flood. I read this before, but I wanted to now deal with it from a different angle. Okay? That right after the ship subsided, the spirits that came from the children of Nephilim began to attack the children of Noah. And what was their key weapon? Their key weapon were what? Was to make the people sick. Folks, all sicknesses are demons. Listen to me again. All sicknesses are demons. So when someone come to you with the science to say, I'm going to shoot something in you so that you'll build immunity against it, understand, they're shooting a demon in you. They're shooting a demon in you. They're giving you a trace of the sicknesses. Sicknesses comes from who? Demons. Mucus is a demon. So now let's go into the sicknesses according to the Old Testament of what we're suffering today, so that we can highlight how we as spiritual people, children of the kingdom, should battle against this weapon. What weapon? The weapon that they are rolling out. It's a weapon. When you have some guy reading from a cue card saying, I'm going to have 100 million of these rolled out for the people, as if this is something we should welcome, folks, it's a weapon. It happened before. They're demons. Sicknesses are demons. Let's read it. The book of Jubilee.
Jubilee chapter 10 verse 1. And in the 3rd week of this Jubilee, the unclean demons began to lead astray the children of the sons of Noah, and to make them err and destroy them. And the sons of Noah came to Noah their father, and they told him concerning the demons which were leading astray and blinding and slaying his sons' sons. And he prayed before the Lord his God, and said, God of the spirits of all flesh, who has shown mercy unto me, and has saved me and my sons from the waters of the flood, and has not caused me to perish, as thou didst the sons of perdition. For thy grace has been great towards me, and great has been thy mercy to my soul. Let thy grace be lift up upon my sons, and let not wicked spirits rule over them, lest they should destroy them from the earth. But do thou bless me and my sons, that we may increase and multiply and replenish the earth. And thou knowest how thy watchers, the fathers of these spirits, acted in my day. And as for these spirits which are living, imprison them and hold them fast in the place of condemnation, and let them not bring destruction on the servants of thy sons, my God. For these are malignant, and are created in order to destroy. And let not them rule over the spirits of the living, for thou alone canst exercise dominion over them. And let them not have power over the sons of the righteous from henceforth and forevermore. And the Lord our God bade us to bind all, and the chief of the spirits, Mastema, came and said,
Satan
came and said, Lord, Creator, let some of them remain before me, and let them hearken to my voice, and do all that I shall say unto them. For if some of them are not left to me, I shall not be able to execute the power of my will on the sons of men. For these are for corruption and leading astray before my judgment, for great is the wickedness of the sons of men. Verse 9, and he said, let the 10th part of them remain before him, and let 9 parts descend into the place of condemnation. And one of us he commanded that we should teach Noah all their medicines, for he knew that they would not walk in uprightness nor strive in righteousness.
So the angels begin to teach Noah all of the medicines, the herbs that were shown to Adam for healing.
Read.
And we did according to all his words, all the malignant evil ones we bound in the place of condemnation, and 1/10 part of them we left that they might be subject before Satan on the earth. And we explained to Noah all the medicines of their diseases, together with their seductions.
Read that again.
And we explained to Noah all the medicines of their diseases, together with their seductions.
Do me a favor, give me chapter and verse so they'll have that, because the book of Jubilees is a separate record that was shown to Moses, and he told Moses to hide the record. Read that chapter and verse again, Elder Lawya.
Jubilees chapter 10, verse number 12, around the end of verse 12. And we explained to Noah all the medicines of their diseases, together with their seductions, how he might heal them with herbs of the earth.
Herbs of the earth is medicine. What they're doing in these doctor offices isn't medicine. You don't take something that gives you side effects. That isn't medicine. That's sorcery. That's demonic possession. They're putting all types of serums. These are the demons and the serums that were given from the sorcerers and all that back then, to put mankind under subjection. Okay, they found the more willing servant is what? A sick servant. You're at the behest of your master for what? An antidote. Read that last piece again.
It says, and we explained to Noah all the medicines of their diseases, together with their seductions, how he might heal them with herbs of the earth.
Herbs of the earth. That's how you heal according to the Bible. You heal with herbs, not through drugs, folks. They attacked us before like this. They've always done this. Read.
And Noah wrote down all things in a book as we instructed him concerning every kind of medicine. Thus the evil spirits were precluded from hurting the sons of Noah. And he gave all that he had written to Shem, his eldest son, for he loved him exceedingly above all his sons. And Noah slept with his fathers and was buried on Mount Lubar in the land of Ararat.
Now, that book, the book of medicines, there's one son in particular who kept this record, or some of it, intact. And that was one of the sons of Japheth. When you look at the Asian healing books, where they talk about the Asian teas and the Asian healing, guess what? A lot of that record came from Japheth. And Japheth was able to get that record from the books given to Noah. That's our records given to our father Noah, that they're taking the credit for it and trying to say Buddhists and all this other crap. No, the records of Asian medicine came from us. That was the book that was given to Noah to ward off, to heal his sons after the flood, who were being attacked by sicknesses, demons. Okay? That's right. The Asians also have the same story, where instead of, guess what the guy named who was saved on a piece of wood in Asian culture? They call his name You. Noah, they call him You. Why You? The same story of the flood the Asians have, who are Japheth. Okay? And guess what? All the Asian herbs were a part of the records the angels gave Noah. I have books all over here of healing. We ordered books. We have them right behind us of healing, because those were the records the Most High gave us. There's herbs in the earth every day, folks. Why do you think, folks? Why do you think that these devils out here named dandelion in the weed family? It grows everywhere. Them little white cotton balls, it grows everywhere. Or the yellow flowers when you go along the road. Dandelion root heals everything naturally. And the Most High had it grow in the earth like weed. There was a guy who made a testimony that the doctors told him to take chemotherapy. He had 6 months to live. And he said something came to him and said, go out in your backyard, pull up the dandelion root, let it dry out in the sun after washing it off for 3 days, and make it a tea and drink it for a month. I went to this story 10 years ago. Guess what, folks? He went back 3 months later after drinking the dandelion tea. And the doctor looked at him and said, what happened? And he said, I've been drinking dandelion root. And the doctor told him to go out the other way. Don't talk to the people in the reception area. He was totally healed, no antibodies or nothing attacking his body by him actually using something that was outside in his backyard. No chemotherapy or anything. He was healed. So the devil will tell you that dandelion root that grows every place, it grows wild. They'll claim it's a weed and have you round it up. And it's out there. It's every person on earth has access to this right now and can just pull it up, dry it out, and drink it every day. Folks, I was having stomach issues overseas because my body wasn't used to the water. Took dandelion root and cut it, dried it out, began to drink the tea, and I could feel instantly my body healing from the dandelion tea, and my stomach was made whole again. Guess how much I paid for the dandelion? Absolutely nothing. It grows like weed. Dandelion isn't a weed. It's a healing agent from the Most High. Yeah? Anything? You out?
I was going to say also what you said about the other nations having that information.
Yeah.
Mind you, we found that in the Jewish Encyclopedia. So they even know that these other nations had it.
Let me read it. From the Jewish Encyclopedia.
Yeah. His book of medicinal plants is
right here. Now, this is in the Jewish Encyclopedia, folks. Look at this. His book of medicinal plants. Noah was taught by Raphael how to cure. Raphael means healing angel, folks. Noah was taught by Raphael how to cure the above mentioned diseases and was shown the medicinal plants and herbs. He recorded in a book all the medicaments and drugs, the use of which had been taught by Raphael. And this book was transmitted from one generation to another. Later, it was translated into many languages. Copies of it coming into the hands of the most famous physicians of India and Greece, Japheth. The original Grecians were Japheth, who derived therefrom the medical knowledge of Noah, Jubilees 1 and 14. I never even read this, folks, and knew that the Asian remedies and all that came from this record. The Jewish people know it, but they'll tell you to go get a drug. And I say they, not Jewish people, but the media and others, the corporations would tell you to get a drug knowing that their depopulation satanic agents are in the drugs. We have the records. I was having stomach issues not because my body wasn't adjusted to the waters. And guess what? Went and cut that dandelion root, had it dry out for 3 days, and I would just make myself some tea with honey, and you can feel it immediately healing my organs. It was healing my organs. I could feel my organs healing. And see, the disciples were, when Christ said, listen, you go out there and you heal the sick, you do this, you do that. Part of the knowledge of healing the sick is knowing what the Most High put in the earth to heal us. And on top of that is laying on of hands and casting a demon out of people. So when people ask the Gathering of Christ Church, what do we think about people being stuck with needles and all that? This is our stance. Let's do what Noah did. Let's do what our forefathers did, being a kingdom, being Israel. Why don't we do what Christ would do and the disciples did? The herbs of the earth. Right? Now, I said that to say this. I have a video. Here you go, Delay.
Yes, sir.
Every time, when I get some new information, only a couple of seconds, I usually share it. And I got other videos I'm going to go into tomorrow in the academy, so y'all got to hold tight until tomorrow. All right? You good? Mm-hmm. Check this out. Some sister, after getting tested with the Colt 45 test, gave a testimony personally of what she has experienced. What she experienced. Check this out.
You guys better leave them damn tests alone. That's what you...
Hold on. You hear it, right? Mm-hmm. All right. The water.
Yes, sir.
You guys better leave them damn tests alone. That's what you better do. Because they're not doing chipping. Absolutely not. They're putting nanoparticles right into your head. I know this for a fact because this material, these fibers, these silver fibers right here, these come out of my body. They're called morgellions. If you don't know what morgellions are, go look at what morgellions are.
Morgellion, go and check them out.
These are silver fibers. It's not cotton. This is what the COVID Q-tip test
live
is. You see that one down there?
Look at
alive?
it. Get it shared, guys.
They do their own thing. Look, he's trying to grab it. He's mad. See him? This is what they put in the head.
They're attacking each other.
This is their COVID test. They're putting this shit right in the brain.
Get this out, guys.
Close to the brain. He's mad. Look, see him? He's getting mad.
Get it out before it gets removed, guys.
Showing you
Look at it moving by itself.
Getting mad.
Moving about, look.
Look. Look at this.
Watch this now. Watch this. Get it.
It's moving by itself. Your rock is moving by itself. When they stick that stuff up in your head, they're actually putting particles, Magellan particles. That's causing a level of transhumanism. Threads are being developed. She said she pulled this out of herself after the test.
You guys better leave them damn tests alone. That's
Look.
what you better do. Because they're not doing chipping. Absolutely not. They're putting nanoparticles right into your head. I know this for a fact because this material, these fibers, these silver fibers right here, these come out of my body.
They
They're
came out of her.
morgellions. If you don't know what morgellions are,
Morgellions.
go look at what morgellions are.
Morgellion, go and check them
These
out.
are silver fibers. It's not cotton. This is what the COVID Q-tip
They're
test
live
is. You see that one down there?
It's moving by itself.
Get it shared, guys.
They do their own thing. Look, he's trying to grab it. He's
It's
mad.
moving by itself. Look.
This is what they put in the head.
They're attacking each other.
This is their COVID
This is what they
test.
want everybody to take this test
They're
for. They're
putting
putting
this
this
shit right
stuff
in the
in their
brain.
Get
heads,
this out,
put it in
guys.
their
Close
brains.
to the brain. He's mad.
It's attaching
Look,
to their
see him?
neural
He's getting mad.
senses.
See
Get it
you
out
guys
before it
think
gets
I'm
removed,
lying?
guys.
Look at that.
Showing you live.
Look at the state of that.
Getting mad.
Moving about, look.
Putting nanotechnology
Watch
in the
this now.
test.
Watch this. Get it.
Look at that. I'm going to leave it there. We're going to pick it up, tracing the serpent, not tracing the serpent seed, but the promises of Abraham to prove to you that we've been under attack, folks. Ever since Noah's Ark rested on Mount Ararat, our forefathers and have been under attack. And they would use medicines, or what they would claim medicines, but it was pharmakeia sorcery. They needed to get into our bloodstream. They needed to get into our person to affect us. The answer to all of that is no. I will not defile my temple, and we cannot trust the devil and his ministers. So I have more to show tomorrow. Be there, 9 a.m. What are you going on in Hebrew, Elder Lawya?
The books of the Bible in Hebrew.
So what does that entail when you say the books of the Bible in Hebrew?
Basically going over the different list of chapters you'll find in the Hebrew Bible and giving you the Hebrew titles for those particular chapters. So, for example, the Hebrew title for Genesis, Exodus, all the way up to Malachi.
Okay. Whoa. Shapad is getting ready. He's getting the news as we speak. I got some of these other videos. I even got a video on trans racialism. This stuff is getting wild, folks, as in the days of Noah. So I'm going to have that prep ready tomorrow, and I can't wait. See you in the morning. Right? Remember, folks, we are the kingdom people. Our temples belong to the Most High. Protect your children from the impositions of the devil. They're after our children, and they're trying to intrude our temples with Satan's seed. Fight it at all costs and stay prayed up. Sin not. We're the children of Israel, the kingdom people. And that ends, the kingdom is within you, part 2. And we're back. Next week, lesson is going to be titled, The Works of Your Hands. The power, how can I title this? The power that comes from the works of your hands. The power that comes from the works of your hands. Next Sabbath. Hold tight. May the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up, sin not. We will soon see you. We will see you all in the academy. In the academy. All right. Shalom.
Shalom.
Go to gatheringofchrist.org. Pre-order your calendars. You're going to need them. Okay? When all this stuff shuts out, you're going to need the calendar to know exactly what day to worship so that we're connected any place in the earth at the same time under the Almighty. Go to gatheringofchrist.org and order your pre-order for your calendar. And yes, we're week 3, right?
Yes, sir.
We're only week 3. So if you're not in the academy, you can still enroll. historytimes.org. Enroll there, and we'll give you the 2 lessons you've missed. And you'll pick right up with tomorrow. That's right. The children of the promise. Stay prayed up, sin not. I'll see you in the academy. Shalom.
Shalom.
Tell a friend. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited.